Hi, it's Mikate. Thanks for tuning on in. Today we've got another super exciting time planned out. Continuing onwards with some of the Fontaine story quests. And with any luck, we'll get to solve this mystery. Although, we'll have to see. Not too sure how all of this will play out. So, without any further ado, let's get into it. Should be a good time. We should turn our party setup back to having Kanish, because at least the hope would be that for the next little bit we will not
Glad to be working with you.
running into anything too insane. We'll see. If need be, we can flip him with Moalani and sub back in Navia as our carry, but Moalani on her own should do decent enough damage against anyone that isn't Hydro aligned. So, should do alright there. I've actually got him running Serpent Spine right now for the crit rate, but he still needs to be built a lot. So, that'll just take some time. Oh, that's actually a mildly inconvenient location. Okay. Last time we didn't activate the teleport waypoint. That was silly of me. We'll have to grab that this time. Oh well, at the very least it should be decently quick to get there.
Carving waves! 10 points for agility.
At least they're, one thing that I think they did really well on is that their cooldowns are pretty darn comparable, so you can kind of slip back and forth a little bit. Even not inside of Nalin.
Off we go.
Which is a bit nice, if you have both of them. Not really a cohesive party, but if you're just looking for speed on its own, it's pretty solid. There's a viewpoint back there. Alright. Highly dangerous. Yeah, you always say that. Because I went up a world level and haven't gotten any of my characters to 90. It's fine. Oh. Interesting. Okay. We've been forcibly
Hey, you!
transported.
Yes, both of you! Over here! I've been keeping an eye on you for a while
It's
now.
her!
Huh? You mean us?
Finally! I've been wondering. I knew she was around here somewhere. Finally! There she is, my girl.
That's right. If I'm not mistaken, you're also among those who wish to cut down the thorns and pursue the truth. No? And by the looks of it, you're not from Fontaine.
Well, you're right on the more about that one, but who are you?
Have you never heard of the Spina di Rosula?
Only from you saying it. All the time. It's one of her main voice lines.
From mediating disputes and providing protection to solving conundrums, you name it, Spina di Rosula does it.
Okay. Good to know.
And I, Navia, have the honor of being its renowned president. Though those who play by our rules call me boss.
I'm Silver, her attendant. Pleased to meet you.
Ooh, fancy.
And I'm Melus. Demoiselle's various daily needs and affairs are under my purview.
Huh? Boss? Demoiselle? What gives with the names?
I mean, it's a fair question. She kind of has, like, low-key mob boss vibes, but, you know, it's fine.
Well, I am the second generation president. Malus and the others are still used to my previous title.
Okay.
My apologies, Demoiselle. Should you prefer, boss, I will endeavor to use that instead.
No, no need. You don't have to call me boss. Just Navia is fine.
Okay. Still kind of odd. Are you, like, legal? Not that I'm judging, I'm just really curious.
Okay, if you say so. Not that we're members of Spina di Rasula anyway.
All merely trifling details. Never mind. Now, back to the situation at hand. That's right. I've always kept an eye on the serial disappearance cases. My interest stems from a matter back from my father's time.
Interesting, okay. Then that would indicate that this has been going on for a lot longer than anything Lenny could really be involved in, which already the theory is he isn't, but...
Judging from the look of things, I find Linny an unlikely mastermind.
Same here.
Really? We think so too! That's why we're looking for clues now. But how did you come to that conclusion?
Intuition, naturally. My unparalleled intuition.
That's so funny. My response was gonna be pretty much exactly this. Whatever you say, ma'am.
Farina sure was quick to point the finger at Linny without any decisive evidence whatsoever, wasn't she?
Uh-huh.
But that's not uncommon for her. If you remember, the justice had to interrupt her and ask if she was pressing charges just to keep her from getting carried away. Anyway, a trial begins the moment someone levels charges. And, of course, there was no way Farina was going to back down in that situation.
She almost did. Kind of felt like she was going to, but then she realized everybody was watching and had to go for it.
Sounds more like you just don't trust the Hydro Archon.
Well, what's your opinion? I must admit that she can be interesting at times, but liking her doesn't mean that I'll blindly agree with her.
That's probably for the best. She's very dramatic.
All right, I've answered your question. Now, it's time you answer mine.
Wait a minute, did that answer count?
Well, I say it does. But don't worry, you won't hear any pointless questions from me. In your opinion, do you think it's right to treat a trial like it's an opera?
Well?
And why would that be? See, Silver and Malus? I told you they'd be different.
Yeah, seems like the common sentiment around here is that interesting is way more important than real.
Most astute of you, Demoiselle. I too think that the Traveler's response was most excellent. No matter how wonderful the script or how fervent the audience's expectations may be, the trials that go on stage here must be based in fact. And if that can be done, boss, then...
All right, that's quite enough, Malus. Anyway, I like your answer. You passed with flying colors.
Oh, good. I'm glad.
Now, I need to make some preparations, following which our joint investigation shall commence. You two shall be my assistants.
Okay. Honestly, probably for the best we have someone who knows what's going around here helping, because clearly we don't know the laws, so odds are good we'd end up accidentally breaking one.
Wait! Since when
Again.
did we become assistants?
Oh, well, I can be the assistant, sure. Or your companion, if you like. I'm really not that fussy.
That's more like it.
Yeah, that's not really the point, but I'm glad you're pleased, Paimon. And still wearing your glasses, too.
Far be it from me to brag, but I believe that Demoiselle's intuition will be instrumental in uncovering the truth.
That's not even bragging, honestly. Like, whatever. Whatever.
You wish to save a friend from false accusations, and we wish to unravel the disappearances. In this sense, our goals are aligned.
Agreed. I too would also like to unravel the disappearances. Seems like it could be important.
You have a point. Huh. You're quite the talker, aren't you, mister? And what about you over there? What do you think? You seem like you've got something on your mind.
I have nothing to add.
Oh, alrighty then.
Huh. Interesting.
We'll be making some preparations first. Just be sure to let us know if they start revealing Lenny's tricks. Thanks!
Okay. Gotta split up and look for clues. Most important part of any investigation, naturally. Okay, there's... why are we stuck as Traveler? That's so unfortunate. I hope we can go back in the Opera House later as not Traveler. Could be a clue. That's it? That's all we get from that? That's unfortunate. Alright. How are we meant to get up here? Oh! That's kinda cool.
So this is the rope that broke and caused the water tank to fall. The rope looks pretty durable. How can it be burned through so quickly by fireworks?
And it's very weirdly only burned in one spot. If it were actually burning through like that, you'd expect almost the whole thing to be caught, or at least lit and charred a little bit, but it doesn't look that way.
Why are you suddenly so serious, Traveler?
Yeah,
Whoa. Look! This bit is made from different material!
that would also do it.
Most of it was burned away, but there's still a little bit of it left. Huh. So if a rope meant to hold something was made with that kind of material in it, then that
Means someone wanted to burn that rope on purpose.
Wait! Why don't you write all this down? Let's take notes!
Okay. It's very interesting. Curious as to how someone would get their hands on that. Not gonna talk to you. Go over here first.
Go ahead, have a look around. In the end, we're both after the truth.
Okay. Well, maybe we can talk to you.
Hello there! What are you investigating?
Oh, this location has also been cordoned off because the Magic Troop members are currently considered prime suspects. The investigation team is still collecting evidence.
Gotcha. So they're in there, essentially.
The seats were all booked in advance, so we were able to deduce the missing woman's identity by checking the guest list. Sure, it's not like this is confidential information. We will publish it later anyway when we petition the public to help us find the missing person.
Nice. Helpful.
Her name is Halsey. She's a painter from Fontaine who's made a bit
Hey,
of a name
thanks.
for herself.
I'm doing pretty well. How are you?
Apparently, she wasn't a regular at the Opera House, but she'd been feeling some pressure with her work lately, which made her decide to come see the magic show. The Magic Troop members all claim not to know her. We have looked into her social connections. It seems that she has no personal grievances or conflicts of interest with the suspects. Simply put, she wasn't related to the Magic Troop at all. which matches the features of the previous serial disappearances.
How interesting. Right proper mystery, then.
Were the victims of previous cases also chosen at random?
That's how it seems to us, in any case. Apart from the fact that they were all young women of around the same age range, there really weren't any other connections between them.
Okay then.
No need to be so formal. If you do happen to see the missing girl, please be sure to contact us.
Sure thing, we'll have to. Could be interesting.
It is of utmost importance that we get to the bottom of these disappearances.
Agreed. Especially because it's now involved in a direct murder case, not just disappearances. Weird that she's a little bit famous, though. Although perhaps not entirely, considering I'm certain you'd have to have at least connections to get access to a place like this. Hello.
I see that you're investigating the area. Well, it just so happens that I'm interested too.
Who are you? And why? Are you a reporter? Is that it? Fairly new, yeah.
If you find any new and interesting leads, be sure to share them with me, alright?
We don't have too many thoughts yet.
Then why don't I tell you my hypothesis first? The way I see it. And I'll start it with that loud thud.
I would say probably... It's been about a month or so now. Maybe a month and a half. But relatively new.
The thud? Oh, you mean the sound that happened during the countdown?
Yeah, that was weird and a little suspicious.
Yes, exactly. It wasn't terribly loud, but I suspect that most people heard it. It's just that everyone was awaiting the results of Lenny's trick with bated breath, so no one paid it much mind. But now that the incident has happened, the thud has become an important clue.
That makes sense. So, what do you make of it?
I'm of the opinion that it may have been the sound of Lenny's accomplice. Lynette, perhaps. Jumping atop the water tank, or something like that.
Okay. Weirdly specific. I mean, it's possible. Clearly something happened, but... I don't know that I buy that.
And when the pyrotechnics went off, she cut the rope, sending the water tank crashing down.
Yeah, but the rope wasn't cut, so that's a very contrived assessment of things.
But wasn't the noise we heard too loud for that?
Yeah, it was quite loud.
Perhaps the balance wasn't right, leading to a particularly rough landing. Oh, that's true. I suppose I must reconsider.
That does remind Paimon, though. What was with that sound?
Certainly something to consider. Alright, so we missed this one somehow, apparently. Oh. How annoying. Which means there must be something else over here that we missed. Ah, you. Who are you?
The investigation team has some new findings. Turns out there's an issue with the random number selector after all.
So it was rigged.
See, I told you. What if the machine picked some big guy's seat? You think the murderer would have still made his move then?
Sorry to interrupt, but we're helping Lenny and Lynette with their side of the investigation. What were you saying about the number selector? There's something wrong with it?
You're trying to help them? That'll be a tall order.
Lenny used the machine to pick a random member of the audience during his performance, right? The lucky girl that later disappeared.
True. So, if she wasn't as random as expected, either this is a really well done frame job, or someone decided that they wanted to create quite the spectacle.
Well, we thought there might be a serious problem with the machine, so we had it taken away for further inspection.
It turns out that the seat number it picked wasn't random at all. The machine picks that same number every time.
Oh, interesting.
I'm sure you already know that you have to make a reservation in advance to get a seat, regardless of whether it's a trial or some performance.
So whoever rigged it definitely knew that she was going to be the selected person. I mean, it makes sense. I don't really know how you would get away with that kind of a magic trick without whoever you're picking being in on it. But it's certainly a bit odd that we pick a girl like that who matches everybody else who's disappeared too. So, I mean, there's really two explanations for that. Either it's part of the trick, makes sense, or somebody not involved had something to do with rigging it.
In other words, Linny knew who would be sitting where from the very beginning.
That much checks out. Linny reserved our seats for us too.
Bet you see why I was saying it'd be tough to make a case for Linny.
I suppose so. Not that tough, though.
Even though it's bad for Linny's case, Paimon had better write it down.
True. The truth is important. Okay. Yeah, we're gonna have to hope that him explaining his tricks helps here. Otherwise, it's not looking good for him.
Linny's still talking to the guards. It seems he'll have a lot of explaining to do. I think someone will be assigned to monitor us later, but that's alright.
Okay.
Linny's still talking to the guards. I think someone will be...
But she's a clue. Can we not talk to her?
Linny's still talking to the guards.
Okay.
I think someone will be...
Clearly not. So maybe more this way? Or not. Outside it is. Even more outside, apparently. Oh. It's a tiny greenish person. A mesu something.
Sorry, but no one can freely enter or exit the Opera House at the moment. If you wish to leave, you must register your identity with us first.
Okay, sure.
No, we're not leaving. We're representing Linny and Lynette as attorneys, so we're investigating the case. Were you always guarding this entrance?
Yes. After the Chief Justice gave the order, everyone coming in or out must undergo a strict inspection. So, the missing girl couldn't have left from here. At least, not from that point on.
Yeah, what about earlier? Or are we looking for alternate exits now?
I doubt there was much opportunity then either.
How can you be so sure,
Well, because I was in charge of security near the entrance at that time.
Interesting. So she definitely didn't come out, which means there's other methods of getting in and out of here. There has to be. Very curious.
I couldn't see Linny's performance from here, which was quite a shame. Just my luck. But still, I did not abandon my post, and I stayed put no matter how loud the applause was. If someone had so much as even approached the door, I would have noticed it, let alone if they had tried to leave. We Melusines are good at that sort of thing, you know.
Melusines, that's it. Okay.
So, it's safe to say the girl couldn't have left through here. Alright, thank you for your help. This will be useful info.
Okay. No one left the opera house. Perfect. Well, not perfect. Not good for our case at all. Unfortunately.
We've checked everything of note here at the performance venue. Paimon wonders how Linny's discussion with the guards is going.
It's so funny to me
See, shall we?
that you can.
Ooh, things are getting
You've
interesting.
been gifted free. Hey.
Understood. Then I will be going with you. Just so you're aware, I will be monitoring your actions and making notes as necessary.
That is so rude. Come on.
Very good. Thanks for being so agreeable. I'd pull a rose out of my hat as a gift for you if I could.
You may spare the pleasantries. I'm just doing my job.
You've arrived. Who's this?
Me? I'm Spina di Rosula's guardian angel. If you've got a problem, I've got the firepower. Sorry, I got a little carried away there. Call me Navia. I'm a partner of theirs, and will be helping investigate this whole situation.
Yeah, a randomly acquired friend. We're good at making those.
And these are my companions. Would you mind if they join as well?
Fine by me.
Oh, new helpers? I would be most grateful.
Well, let's just say we're tagging along. It's not every day you get to see the secrets behind magic performed on such a large scale.
I appreciate your kind interest. Come with me. We'll be heading below stage.
Secret tunnels. Cool.
Huh? Below stage?
Yes, a world of secrets is hidden beneath this magic box, prepared specifically for this switcheroo trick.
Yep, tunnels. Which means other girl was definitely in on it.
But before I reveal everything, you should have a look first. Notice anything strange here?
Or at the very least, if she wasn't, basically there's a box in a box, and the whole inside of the box gets moved and switched.
I'm not trying to be dramatic. Remembering the details of a trick will help you understand the methods used to perform it more easily.
Huh. Weren't there balloons and other decorations here? Where did all that go?
Yeah, that is a bit odd, isn't it?
Ah, good eye. That said, you're still far from discovering the answer.
The back? You mean the inside of the door? What's different about it? Paimon didn't notice anything.
Very good indeed. I thought you might not be able to catch that, given that you were sitting in the first row. The back of this door was patterned. Those patterns are now gone, replaced by a smooth wooden board.
Mm-hmm.
So, if you put 2 and 2 together, what do you get? Exactly.
Box in a box.
All right, let's go. I'll tell you how it works as we head down.
Oh, so there was a passageway under the magic box!
I knew you'd figure out most of it as soon as you saw this place. The 2 magic boxes are positioned right above the 2 entrances of the tunnel. See this flatbed trolley? The box with the lucky audience member in it would be shuttled over to the other side using the trolley.
Okay, so she wasn't in on it. She could have been literally anybody. Which is very interesting, because it means he wouldn't have needed to rig that choice selector.
This trolley can raise and lower and even rotate, ensuring that the box will face in the right direction.
I see. So that's the purpose of the box inside another box.
Precisely. The inner box would descend after the audience member was put inside and be moved along the trolley, all while the outer box would remain on stage as if nothing had ever changed.
So that's how you did it!
Once the box was lowered, the trolley would store some energy through this device here, with which it would complete the rest of the steps.
Okay.
The audience member would only be able to feel some slight movements in the dark, and by the time she walked out, she would already be back on stage.
Right! You were talking that whole time, and you even came out for a moment near the end!
Ah, yes. A phonograph operated by Lynette was used to achieve that effect.
Huh. Okay.
My assistant and I had already scripted our conversation beforehand. When the countdown began, I had already gone to the opposite box via a tunnel using that ladder.
Okay, sure. Fair enough. So then the other assistant must have been what we saw of you, I suppose.
And what about Lynette? Where was she?
I was in the mezzanine space in the back of the box.
Oh, interesting!
That's how we were able to coordinate Linny's lines with the assistant. And by the way, I was the one
There
who
we
walked out
go.
of the box at the end.
I mean, we are twins. All it takes is a change of clothes, and no one can tell who's who.
All right then. Uh-huh. Okay. I mean, I guess for a brief moment, maybe. I still have questions about that statement, but all right.
And that's my favorite part of this trick. Only Lynette and I can perform it.
So that's how it all worked! Wow, every detail you revealed was more amazing than the last!
Lynette would briefly walk out of the box and then go back in, jumping into the tunnel and escaping before the box on the trolley could finish ascending. And then I walk out of the other box in the audience area, and the trick would be complete. The operative word here being would. But as you saw, Cal was in the box, not our audience member. She, on the other hand, mysteriously vanished.
Right, which is weird considering I don't see any other exits.
We really don't know how that happened.
If not for that interlude, this would have been an astonishing trick. I probably never would have figured out how you pulled it off. And yet, to think that someone was able to use this magic trick to commit a crime.
Right, it does speak of, at the very least, enhanced knowledge of what you're doing, so it would have to be someone on the inside, even if it's not you, maybe the stage manager or a stagehand. Somebody at the very least has to know about these tunnels, which I suppose, depending on how put together everything is here from the technology, it seems like it is a fair bit. Blueprints have to be available somewhere. And this clearly isn't a recent add-on, so really it depends who has access to that sort of thing. Could be more options than just an insider.
Could we have a look around? I think we can come up with some more leads.
This is the scene of the crime, so Linny and Lynette are not permitted to stay here. I'll escort them back up.
Yes, of course. No need to be so strict now. I won't disappear into thin air, you know.
Thanks, everyone. We're counting on you.
Okay. Goodness. Just keeps going. Alright, let's see. All kinds of things. So that would have to be the go lever. Anything looks damaged here? No. Looks just fine. That's all smashed, which is weird. Why is there all water
The floor
everywhere?
is wet. Please be careful not to slip.
Speaking of which, why would there be water here?
It is weird.
Oh, Paimon knows! It's one of those tricks where you pour water into a jug and then flip the jug over only for the water to disappear?
That seems unlikely considering the level of trick they were doing.
And here's a broken vase. Huh. Did the trolley knock it down while moving?
That can't be. The trolley moves along tracks from start to finish. It couldn't have hit the vase at this distance.
Right, so either Lenny hit it while he was running by, or there's another explanation. That one is perhaps a bit more plausible.
Let's note this down too and think about it later.
Really? Come on.
Huh. What's this?
Looks like a hook tied to the end of a rope. Huh? There's all kinds of odds and ends here.
Right, which is a little bit weird. Because why would you need that?
Perhaps it was a prop for a different trick. But why would it have been left here?
Whatever it is, let's make a note of it first.
Yeah, there's a whole bunch of just random things around here. Which, to a certain extent, we may need to answer. Is that a dress? That
Oh,
doesn't
these are
bode
the
well.
clothes that the lady chosen from the audience was wearing, right? Her clothes are here, but she's nowhere to be found.
Right. And do you really need to do that if you're kidnapping them?
I mean, probably not. Seems excessive. Especially if you're not anticipating being seen.
Ugh, this is so confusing. Paimon doesn't want to be a detective anymore.
How very, very odd. Okay, and then there's just a bunch of box storage. With costumes, that's interesting. Okay, so if someone needed to get different clothes, they certainly could. There's the trolley. And here is a vent, which is certainly big enough for a person.
What is this place?
It seems someone could fit through here.
Yeah, sure could.
Huh. Could this have been the suspect's escape route?
Alone, perhaps. But if they had to pull another person with them, the space would be too narrow.
Right, so either she willingly went out here, somehow, and then replaced the grate, somehow, or there's something else that happened here. The water makes me a little bit concerned, considering the conversations we've had about people turning into water. We'll see. I don't know. Seems unlikely she went out there, though.
There are no other ways in or out of here. Oh, you're right. Let Paimon write that down.
So essentially, everywhere was
Seems we're
kind of
just about
taken
done
care of.
investigating down here.
Yes. Let's head back up.
Okay, I would like to go up that ladder, please.
Well, we've ascertained the state of the crime scene. Let's find a place to sort out our findings once Malus returns. Seems to me that there are several things that don't add up here.
Apologies for the wait, demoiselle.
So, what did the guards say? Did the criminal escape through the vent?
They believe the odds of that are very low, since the vent leads to the Opera House's basement.
Interesting. So there's another level then. Very curious. Because that could have been a potential route that wouldn't take you outside via the main door. But then again, you have to deal with manhandling someone through a vent that size, which could be rough.
The guards have checked the area carefully. No one left through the basement during the performance or after the incident, and no one was found hiding there.
Okay, fair enough.
So the tunnels become like a secret chamber then. You know, like the kind you usually see in novels.
The plot thickens. Halsey's disappearance and Cowell's death are both quite inexplicable.
Yeah, there's not really anything that would explain either one of them to a great extent. Very odd. 'Cause there's really no reason he should have been in the box either, unless something went wrong somehow.
No wonder Farina was so confident in her accusation. All the current evidence points toward Linny and Lynette.
In other words, the charges are very likely to be upheld unless we make some considerable progress.
That's not acceptable.
Charges and then trial. So if the charges are upheld, they'll announce a sentence?
That's right. This is how a trial goes in the Opera House. During the proceedings, the Chief Justice and the Oratrice will hear statements from both sides.
Okay. Interesting. So there's at least some combination of work happening between the two of them. Although it sounds like it won't really matter either way given our current evidence if we can't find anything else.
That's right. This is how indemnitium is produced.
Okay. Weird.
The statements from both sides, the defenses from attorneys, witness testimonies, and even the audience's emotions will all be projected on the Oratrice.
How odd. So it, like, captures emotions, I guess? This whole setup is very strange.
To put it simply, it's as if the Oratrice has its own will, and is a judge in its own right.
This also precludes any kind of favoritism on the part of the Chief Justice. And not that this has ever happened anyway.
Once both sides have finished speaking, the Chief Justice will make his final decision. This, too, will be used by the Oratrice as a reference.
Very interesting. Okay. So at the very least, there's a little bit of impartiality, which should help prevent completely bogus cases from happening. Although, I mean, I can't even say this one's completely ridiculous because the evidence certainly doesn't deny his involvement, and there's a lot of clues that would point towards it, but nothing definitive.
Then, finally, the Oratrice will be consulted by officials. The result it returns is the will of justice itself.
Huh? So that machine is the one that actually decides? Paimon thought Neuvillette called the shots.
In practice, there is very little difference. Both have always come to the same judgment, which is why people have great faith in the Chief Justice.
So he doesn't really have any power to override necessarily, which could be dangerous. I mean, either way, honestly, if they end up not agreeing on something, that could get messy.
Ah, yes, the guards also asked me to convey that none of us will be allowed to leave this place before the trial.
Fair enough, I guess, although slightly unhelpful for looking for outside evidence.
Huh? Why?
Because we've chosen to act as the twins' proxies. That makes us persons related to the case.
They're concerned that we might be colluding with outside parties, or that we might find outside help to disrupt the case. And even if that were not so, it could prove problematic if we happen to spread key information about the case ahead of time.
I'm ready to break out at any time.
Whoa! There's no need for that! Paimon thinks they have a point. That said, are they providing food?
Such important concerns from Paimon, as always. Really's got her priorities in order, that one.
Of course. I just hope you don't mind the lack of options. I'm afraid that catering to all tastes is not in the cards, nor is any guarantee of balanced nutrition.
Well, at least there's something.
In that case, let's just sort out our findings together here. Pity. I was hoping to take you to try some of Fontaine's famous desserts, too.
Oh, that could be fun. I do still need to scope out the local cuisine.
I mean, what better way to properly think through our findings than over some tea and sweets?
So you're a tea party girl. Interesting. Alright then.
Huh. Breaking out suddenly doesn't seem like such a bad idea after all.
We're not doing that.
Just kidding! Just
It's a
kidding!
terrible idea.
Paimon will still do her best, even if there are no snacks.
You don't need snacks. You'll be fine.
What do you mean, no snacks? Of course we'll have snacks. If we cannot buy some, then we'll simply make some.
How are you expecting to do that, Navia? We're trapped in a theater with literally nothing. I guess maybe you can order something. I guess. Alright then.
Huh? Here? But how?
Yeah, what do you know that we don't?
Understood, Demoiselle. Everyone, please come with me.
Like, always? All the time? Huh. Alright then.
Yes, I must be prepared to meet the demoiselle's baking needs whenever the fancy strikes her.
Does that happen often? Does she randomly request baked goods from you? Honestly, I'm not even that surprised by that now that I think about it a little bit more. That tracks with the everything in this location.
I have eggs, sugar, and almonds at the ready.
Good work, you two. Then I'll get to it. Please sit tight for a moment. You'll get to taste my awesome snacks soon enough.
These three are quite the interesting group.
Yeah, they certainly are. I'm still not quite clear on what the whole Spina di Rosula thing is. Like, are these people... They kind of just randomly showed up? I don't think they're government sanctioned. They feel a little bit like some cross between a bodyguard group and a mob boss. Which, fair enough, I guess. Oh. She made macarons.
Paimon thought it smelled good while it was still in the oven. Oh, it's even better now. Paimon can't stop drooling.
I mean, those do look pretty good. Clearly, girl can bake.
From the way you had these two guys carrying all that stuff around, Paimon thought you'd have them do more during the baking process.
Interesting that we have this scene, but like none of her passives are really related. That feels like a little bit of a lost opportunity. They aren't, right? I guess I should double check. But I haven't seen her pop up whenever I've tried to cook anything.
But you ended up doing the entire thing by yourself. Beating the egg whites, grinding almonds, everything.
I was applauding.
And I was giving encouraging smiles.
Paimon was just thinking. Aren't you worried about getting your fancy dress dirty, beating egg whites and baking like this?
Clearly, the woman does not care.
Well, I don't think it's carved in stone anywhere that fancy ladies can only read books, sip tea, ride horses, and play the piano. I just really enjoy making snacks.
Good for you to have a hobby, I suppose.
Don't underestimate beating egg whites, by the way. It's a real arm workout. You also need to beat them to just the right consistency, or your macarons will crack.
She's not wrong. Hand beating egg whites is a bit of a chore, especially to get them to the amount of fluff you need for macarons. Can take anywhere up to 15 or so minutes, depending on what stage specifically you need for the recipe you're making. Sometimes more than that. Depends how aggressively you beat them.
Anyway, give these a try, fresh out of the oven. There's 3 for each of us.
Only 3?
Well, eating too many sweet treats might send all that sugar to your head. You wouldn't be able to think clearly about the case on a sugar rush, would you?
Tea is ready to be served as well. This is Demoiselle's favorite, strong black tea with a floral fragrance that clears the mind and lifts the spirit. No need for concern. I'm merely doing as I should.
All right then. Down to business. As Paimon mentioned previously, the tunnel seems to be something of a secret chamber. However, we can assume that Linny and Lynette were not alone within it. Some criminal also occupied its sealed confines. The magician twins could have committed the crimes, of course, but they lack any logical motive.
Exactly! Why would they do such a thing right when everyone was watching?
Right. Exactly. That's really the big caveat that I've got. If we didn't have that, or if we had an explanation for why, then I'd have a lot less ability.
The flower vase and the thud we heard during the performance could indicate some altercation between Halsey and the criminal in the tunnel.
Very possible. Something clearly happened down there.
Resulting in the shattering of the vase, the discarding of her clothes, and her abduction.
Right, the loss of the clothes is weird. Like, there's plenty of costumes around. She could have changed into something else, but I gotta imagine anything she changed into would be more recognizable considering what was stored down there.
Perhaps the criminal thought that since she was chosen from the crowd, she would be too easy to identify if she was still wearing the same clothes.
Paimon thinks that makes sense, but the real trouble is...
True. None of the clues we found thus far support the existence of this third person.
Right. Which is unfortunate and very odd.
But the only people left to consider are both technically victims. Whether it's the missing girl, Halsey, or poor Cowl.
Huh. Could Halsey have secretly made modifications to the magic props in order to murder Cowl before making her escape?
I mean, that's a wild one, but I guess other than she was, well, she wasn't a random audience selection, but she might have been, unless she rigged it. But how would she gain access? Unless her career in painting somehow gave her that. But again, no motive for her either. And she's proper vanished, which is weird.
That's right. And even if she had tampered with the setup, she would need to understand the entire trick to pull it off.
Right. So whoever we're looking for, either it's gotta be one of the twins, it's gotta be someone who's seen their show before, or it's gotta be someone who's involved in their show. And even if they've seen their show before, they'd also need to have access to the blueprints of this location, presumably.
Nor does she have any motive. The guard said that she has never had any dealings with the Magic Troop's members.
Okay, so probably not her then.
Were we not thorough enough in our search? From the sound of things, this is turning into an impossible case.
Yeah, it does not look good.
Your macarons are amazing though, Navia. They smell great! They're nice and crisp and super sweet!
They are my specialty after all. And I see you've already had 5 of them.
That might be a little excessive, Paimon. Don't eat 5 macarons. It's not good for you.
What? 5? Oh, that can't be right. Paimon only counted 3, honest!
They're dual color, too. That's so impressive.
Please don't worry about it. At my age, a few less sweets might actually be a good thing.
No. Being greedy is one thing, but Paimon knows how to count. Besides, Paimon knows that if she ate too many, then others wouldn't have enough. Wait, even you don't believe Paimon? How could you?
Sorry. But I mean... You are a bit obsessed with food. I don't know. I mean, really, we can't possibly add to the mystery here.
If Paimon ate those 2 extra macarons, then may they turn into stone in her stomach!
All right, we get it. Well, I suppose one of us might have gotten too engrossed in our chat and eaten them by mistake. No big deal. Luce, set up the stove again if you would.
Huh? What are you doing?
Making sure everyone gets 3 macarons, of course.
Exactly. We don't want to trouble you.
As you wish, demoiselle.
And I have the egg, sugar, and almonds.
How much of those do you think he just carries around randomly? Also, where are they stored? Are they in his hat? There's not really anywhere else on the man they could be. He's a stick person. I guess there's technically like the pocket dimension thing happening here. So I suppose they could be there. Either way though, very odd.
Well, this really is your hobby, huh?
Oh?
Well, that's it for snack time. I'm going to have another look around the area.
Certainly can't hurt. There's not really a ton of other options, so...
I don't know what we're looking for yet, but we've still got some time. As attorneys, I suggest the 2 of you think the case over again.
Okay. I doubt we're gonna get anywhere without any extra info.
It would be awkward if you got all tongue-tied on stage during the trial.
Alright, thanks for your help, and for the snacks.
It was nothing. A small task for the Spina di Rosula. Silver, Malus, it's time to go. I'll be back if I find anything new.
Okay. It's just weird.
Alright, it's time to put our heads together. We've got to get our defense ready for the trial. Oh, it's probably gonna be a long and difficult case. There's no point in worrying about that now. We just need to prepare. Here, take Paimon's notes. They should help you review the situation.
Oh, we can go up here. Haha. Just be sneaky. Want to make it up there. I really do. Might take some doing, because this is where things are going to get a bit odd, but Geo-Traveler probably could. Feels like he should be able to, but I don't think he can. And we can't climb the walls. I already tried that. Yeah, you'd probably have to boost your way up. Somehow. I want to sit on that chair. It's hidden from me.
This world is full of
Alright, so I think if we do that, and then if we create kind of like a midpoint here. Oh, well that's odd. Can we not create things? Okay, we can, kind of. Because I think between Kinich we can get up more. Climb on here. And then go somehow elsewhere. With you. Oh. Wrong. No. Oh. Boo. This may take some doing. I feel like if we go more over here. Can't create on there. That's great. So close. Alright. Well, if we start more up. No. Alright. This is gonna be a later problem. Because clearly it's gonna be more difficult than originally anticipated. Someday I'll make it up there. Most certainly. Apparently not today. When are we even going till? Should check times. 800 to 1000. Alright. Okay.
What do we do? The whole situation is so confusing. Good plan. Impossible things don't just happen. We'll get to the truth one way or another.
Right. Well, that would be the cope.
Just relax. Even if everyone else suspects Lenny and Lynette, at least we will be supporting them from the stands.
Yeah, that's not gonna help, though, if they're, convicted of a crime they didn't commit.
Besides, I doubt Farina understands any more about what happened than we do.
Thanks, Navia. Well, we'll be going then.
Best of luck to you.
This isn't gonna go well, is it?
Ah, finally, you're back. Well, how did your investigation go?
Unfortunately, we do not have great news for you, and I'm sorry about that.
To be honest, you might be disappointed.
No. We're already very grateful that you were willing to help.
Well, now, don't you all look disappointed? Don't tell me that your investigation came up empty-handed. That was to be expected, of course. The guilty can never produce proof of their innocence.
Well, there's not really any proof of their guilt either, so...
But don't let that stop you. I shall be terribly disappointed should you, my most anticipated foe, concede so easily.
How rude.
Since both parties are present, I declare that the trial regarding the magic show incident is now in session. Firstly, in order for the audience to understand the causes and results of the incident, could we please have Mr. Linney explain the trick?
Yes, of course. I will explain while Lynette demonstrates on stage. All the necessary items have been prepared.
Thank you, Mr. Linney. In that case, I take your statement to be that you ran to and remained hidden within the magic box in the audience stands once the trick began, and thus could not have committed the crime. Is this correct?
I mean, yeah, like, how would he, quite frankly, have even gotten her out of there in that amount of time? It was 60 seconds. So, even if he did anything at all, she still would have presumably been down there when we took her down there, because he was in sight pretty much every second after the incident. 60 seconds is not enough to get someone outside of the building.
Yes, that's correct, Your Honor.
In that case, I call upon the prosecution. Lady Farina, do you wish to refute his statement in any way?
Why, of course I do. Allow me to take the first shot and break this case wide open. Mr. Linney is clearly lying. There is no way you could have been in the box the whole time if you were to abduct Halsey and murder Cowell. In fact, I'd say you were hardly in that tunnel at all.
I mean, perhaps, but it's still only 60 seconds, and that's a lot you're saying he did in that amount of time.
That is simply your hypothesis based on the presumption that I'm guilty.
Oh, is that so? And if I may ask, what did you hear while you were inside your box?
The roaring countdown of the crowd, of course. That's how I kept track of the time and built anticipation for the finale.
And you didn't hear anything else at all? Nothing that might leave an impression of any kind?
No, nothing.
Oh. Well, that's not gonna be good.
I see. But when the count reached 30 seconds or so, there was a thud. One so loud that I believe practically everyone heard it.
Right, which would mean that you probably weren't in the box at that time.
Huh?
Either way, though, still talking about 60 seconds here.
Hey, hang on! Something's not right here.
Yeah, that is very odd.
Yeah, I'm sure he could have heard a noise that loud from inside the box.
I was right by the box and I definitely heard the thud.
Oh.
Look at those scales. Could those mean...
Well then, ladies and gentlemen, allow me to use the words of the magician himself. You never know what can happen in the blink of an eye. Indeed, it seems his alibi can also collapse in the blink of an eye.
I mean, I suppose so, but you don't have to sound so excited about it.
Of course, I have armed myself to do far more than smash your alibi. Confidence cannot go unfounded, and my foundations are rock solid.
I mean, she's not wrong. All the evidence does point to them, but there's not proof other than the fact that we just don't know.
Tell me, Aren't you and Lynette actually from the House of the Hearth?
The House of the Hearth?
Oh.
No
Well.
wonder they did something like this.
That's not gonna help us. It's also not good. I'm not that surprised, considering who else is here. Which, weird that he hasn't turned up at all.
So the serial disappearances were the Fatsui's doing. Now it all makes sense.
I've got a feeling that what happened on stage probably wasn't just an accident.
Well, I mean, you're not wrong about that, but I don't believe that they would have done it so publicly. Like, there's no motive. Oh.
That's irrelevant. Our identities have nothing to do with what happened.
Indeed. Then perhaps you could tell us everything that happened during that 1 minute. Your first priority is to prove yourself innocent after all. I'm sure there is little that needs to be kept secret now. Unless your script already has holes in it. The Outlander is speechless. My, oh my, don't they look flabbergasted? Now comes the infighting and discord, I suppose. This was almost too easy.
She sounds so smug. Ugh. I mean, I knew she was a mildly annoying, and kind of... I don't even know what word to use here. Smug. Just based on the voice line she says when you run around with her. So I'm not that surprised, but... she's certainly got a personality. Nobody was lying when they said that.
Good thing I made all those preparations. Seems the all-nighter I pulled last night is really paying off.
Hey, Linny! Why didn't you tell us this before?
Order! Order! Mr. Linney, allow me to re-establish the facts. Lady Farina has raised 2 points. First, when the thud was heard in the Opera House, you were neither in the box nor the tunnel. Second, you and Ms. Lynette are both members of the House of the Hearth. Are these claims true?
It's definitely unfortunate. That is not good for you. Uh-huh. I mean, there's certainly something going on.
Please answer my question, Mr. Linney.
That mechanical noise in the background does not speak well either for this.
I'm sorry. Yes, they're true, Your Honor.
Well, what were you doing then? Where were you? Oh no.
I knew it!
Sir, if you're gonna be on trial, you should maybe tell your lawyer facts and information. Come on, man. There's not even anything I can do about this one now.
Well, that's it. We might as well move on to the sentencing already.
What should we do now?
Granted. In that case, what is your request?
Is that really necessary? They're already as good as guilty.
Rude assumption.
The defendant deceived their own attorneys. What is there left to discuss?
Order! Order, I say! Your request is reasonable, and we shall adjourn. This trial will reconvene in 1 hour.
Thank you, Nouvelette. Much appreciated. We need to have a conversation, sir.
So you would stick to Mr. Linney's defense even after knowing what you do now? You certainly have more professionalism than I thought. In that case, my dear audience, let's allow the joy of victory to steep for a little while longer.
It's got a very manic laugh, too. Alright. What have y'all got to say for yourselves?
Well, This is awkward. I didn't think the Hydro Archon would dig all that up. I'm sorry, Traveler and Paimon.
Yeah, sorry.
Paimon doesn't know where to start. We trusted you two. We based our entire reasoning on the assumption that you weren't bad guys. Not to set the wrong tone or anything, but Paimon's really mad!
I'm very sorry. I know you're angry, and reasonably so, but please, let me explain.
Well, that is why we're here.
I know you've clashed with the Fatui several times before. I wouldn't be surprised if just hearing the word is enough to make you upset. But our organization is very, very large, and the Harbingers have very different personalities and goals.
Right now, we want to save people. As many as we can.
That's right. I'm sure we're on the same page when it comes to this nation and the disaster that its people might face. I knew if it weren't for our respective identities, we could become good friends. That's why I didn't wish to flat out lie to you, but chose to hide some details instead.
Okay, fair, I guess. If that's why we're really here. Considering the Fatui are actively hunting Gnosis, though. It's a little suspicious.
The truth is very important, but being completely transparent about everything would see us spending more effort than we need to. Right. So, you be the judge. Heck, if I were you, I fear that I'd even struggle to trust me at this point. You met a Fatus who works as a magician, a trickster by trade. All by coincidence, too.
Is that the plural we're going with? Really? Huh. I don't like it.
But still, I'm asking you to trust me. I am no criminal. At least, not in this case.
Okay. I guess. I mean, we could use a little more information if you're expecting us to go with you.
Sorry. Please forgive us.
Well, you both say that, but... Right. Let's hear your answer first, and no lies now!
Of course. I'll answer any question you ask.
That would be a first, but...
We've been trying to find out how the Oratrice operates. We want to know why it has a consciousness. Why can it deliver sentences accurately? During our investigations, we learned that the machine's core is beneath it. From that moment on, Lynette and I have been designing this box swap trick, with the objective of getting close to the core.
Okay. Weird. Why do you want to know?
Is that why you needed a whole minute?
That's right. In truth, the audience would take about 75 seconds to count down from 60, while I would only need 15 to get to the opposite box.
Right, okay. Sure. But why do you want to know about that?
So, after jumping into the tunnel, I accessed the Opera House basement via the vent, and went to investigate the room in which the core is stored.
That air vent was created during the construction of the tunnel specifically to execute this step.
Well, nothing. As soon as I reached that room and was about to investigate, I heard someone's voice.
Oh, a mystery voice. Okay. Who'd you hear?
Which should have been impossible, of course. I was quite certain that I was the only one in the room.
Or you've got some type of hydrosensitivity, maybe? We kind of had that. Maybe it's that? Although that doesn't explain why it's happening here, of all places.
That voice seemed to recognize me and tried to speak to me. I chose to err on the side of caution and retreated the way I came. On the way back, I saw the broken vase and the clothes on the ground, but the countdown was almost finished, so there wasn't time to give it any thought.
Okay. Even if you were through the vent, though, you probably still should have heard that sound, whatever it was.
After that, the homicide occurred just as you saw.
Unless the sound happened from outside of the tunnels.
Well, that explains why you didn't hear the thud.
Because of that prophecy I told you about, of course. We must know all we can about this nation's secrets in order to deal with that prophesized crisis.
Uh-huh. Okay, assuming I buy that, feels like there are better ways. Like, I get that you guys aren't trusted at all considering where you're from, but come on.
That's the only way we can save everyone.
So, there you have it. The whole truth. I swear, I didn't hide anything from you this time.
Well, why would you even hide anything from us in the first place? Doesn't make any sense.
It was never my wish to proceed under this cloud of mistrust either. But like I said earlier, you can be the judge. If you want to leave because you don't trust the Fatui, there's nothing I can do to stop you.
Well, we committed, so we're gonna do our best, but...
Well, Traveler, you decide. Paimon will follow your lead however you choose.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks for giving us a chance.
The current problem is that the scales are tipped pretty badly against you two.
Yeah, which is not great.
If we want to refute the Hydro Archon's accusations, we're gonna need a seriously watertight defense. Huh? Oh, Paimon thinks she gets what you mean.
Okay. Here we go. Still feels like it's gonna take some doing.
Both parties have returned to their positions. Let us continue the trial. When last we left off, Mr. Linney acknowledged the new evidence presented by Lady Farina as fact. Therefore, Lady Farina may continue stating her reconstruction of the events.
Ugh, that took long enough. Now then, if everyone would lend me their attention. At this stage, let's revisit that scene from Linney's perspective.
Oh, okay. Fun, so we can find loopholes and issues. Okay. Refute any assertions of fact, replace them with new inferences. Okay. So essentially, we're looking for problems. Alright.
As the countdown began, he entered the tunnel.
I mean, yeah, nothing wrong with that.
When the flatbed trolley passed, he opened the box and got into an altercation with Halsey, which caused the loud thud. He did not realize that this sound could be heard by everyone in the opera house, which is why he claimed earlier that he could not hear the sound. Finally, he used the vase to knock her out, before making her change clothes to prevent others from recognizing her.
Weird, but okay. Face to knock her out, but he... size of the vent for that one. That is a pretty easy thing to refute.
At this time, Cowell arrived in the tunnel, having heard that strange noise, and caught Linney red-handed.
But how did he get in the tunnel if our only two access points are the front two sides? Unless he was there already, I guess I can buy that. Maybe. But we haven't talked about his location.
So Linney proceeded to knock him out too before stuffing him into that box.
Okay. But again, if the plan was to destroy the box, if this was a random happenstance, the destruction of the box was clearly planned out. So his presence is kind of our unknown factor. That doesn't make sense here. Because this feels like last minute. And like, obviously everyone involved would have noticed when that thing fell that the girl was not inside the box. So that would be mystery disappearance, but why would we bother flattening the box anyway? What's the point of that?
Afterward, Linney passed the unconscious Halsey to his accomplice through the magic box in the audience stands, before operating the devices such that Cowell's death would be ruled an accident.
To his accomplice through the magic box in the audience. And see, now that right there is also... Seems unlikely. Okay.
And there you have it. That's the truth behind what happened.
Uh-huh. You're missing an awful lot of evidence here.
Does the defendant's side have any objections to Lady Farina's description of the events?
Sure do.
The key to refuting Lady Farina is the order of events. What Linny experienced and what he saw.
Okay. Oh. Okay. I don't really know that there's much here. But here, this is from the fight. But if we say here, the vase knocking out, that doesn't make sense because that would also make a noise. Just the fight probably wouldn't. He also says he wasn't in the tunnel here. And that's just weird. Okay, so we've got the two people being knocked out with this vase, which just doesn't make any sense. Because it was clearly smashed. Alright, so we'll start with this one, see what we can identify. Okay. I don't think we have anything here that directly refutes that. Let's see, do we have the vase, maybe? Well, this one right here. No, this isn't even talking about the exit. Okay. Well, I think we're just gonna have to start going for it. We'll start here with the knocking out with the vase. And his statement.
See?
Fine. Okay. No. Nothing here is very helpful. This is the problem. Okay. So specifically we're talking about removing the clothes, but again, weird. I don't have anything to directly say that that can't happen either. I mean, his statement is not very helpful here, I don't think. Other than the fact that, I mean, the clothes were already in the tunnel. No.
Linny did not take part in the underground altercation. He only witnessed traces of the aftermath.
Okay. Sure. We'll go with that. No. I mean, there's no disputing this, really. Realistically. This one, I mean, maybe. No, but this we might, with the lack of entrances. No, still no. This is very unfortunate. Alright, we're missing something clearly. I'm not good at these. I don't like them. They're like trying to lead you, but just not well. Okay. Right, because this is, I mean, that's probably not going to also work here. Unless, oh.
According to Linny, he left via the vent after entering the tunnel. He couldn't have had that altercation with Halsey.
Right, but we're still just working off of word of mouth here, which doesn't seem like it's going to functionally do anything at all.
Linny went to the room that contains the Oratrice's core. This is the actual truth.
Okay, I guess, technically. But either way...
Attention! Ace Detective Paimon has something to say! When the countdown started, Linny did indeed go into the tunnel. But he immediately used a vent to access the Opera House basement, which is where the underground core of the Oratrice is stored. Once he reached that area, he heard a voice in what should have been an empty room. Since he felt something was amiss, he returned immediately. The crime scene had already developed by the time he reached the tunnel again, and in order to complete the magic trick, he did not remain there for any length of time. Finally, he reached the surface, and that was when the accident happened from his point of view. Therefore, he's innocent!
I mean, it's certainly an alternative option, but I don't know that we're gonna get it here. That's still not quite. It's all word of mouth. Honestly, both of these are all word of mouth. Furina technically has slightly more evidence. Kind of. But...
Paimon did it! Paimon actually managed to say all that! Wasn't it awesome?
In other words, you believe that he knew nothing of the incident?
Okay, so I get a little bit better what we're doing with that minigame. I feel like that was not necessarily explained very well, like what your goal was there. That we were setting up an alternate timeline. I just kind of thought we were looking for direct contradictions of statements, which is clearly not what the goal there was. So, now that I know better, hopefully we'll do a little bit better next time. Assuming there is a next time.
That's right!
My reasoning?
If that's the case, then if Carol hadn't entered the tunnel, who was the entire setup meant to kill?
Right, exactly. That's just a weird unknown item. Thank you.
Assuming that what you say is true, Linny only needed to kidnap the young girl to cause a new disappearance case. What would the point of killing someone on stage be?
Oh, they have a point.
That's right, you tell them! And that's why they're partners of mine. They've managed to turn things around.
Certainly not quite as dire as it was.
Oh, well, your denial is very strident, I'll give you that. But what proof do you have to back your claims? Of course I do. If he had been in the magic box the whole time, how could he have not heard that sound? Why do you ask? You're saying that he wasn't?
Oh. All kinds of things. Okay. I see. What are we doing here? Okay. Lenny wasn't in the tunnel. I mean, presumably the fact that he didn't hear the sound. That's what we were just talking about, right? Or are we going up here? Ah, okay. No. I see. I mean, I think it's got to be this based on what we were saying, but I've been wrong before.
That's right!
Okay.
Lenny wasn't in the box or in the tunnel. That's why he didn't hear anything strange during the performance. This means that when the crime happened, Lenny had already entered the basement via the vent. The same clue you used to disprove his alibi has now become the best proof! How do you like that?
Okay, well, let's not antagonize her. Thank you. We would still like her assistance eventually. And, you know, if we upset her too much, who knows what she could do. She seems a little bit like she might just crack. I wouldn't be surprised.
Well played. To think you'd use such logic. Well then, if it wasn't Lenny who committed the crimes, then who was it?
Well, I don't know about that. Oh. Okay. True. Yep.
The deceased's name is Cowell, Lenny's assistant. He would have been able to tamper with the equipment.
He sure would have. And it's weird that he was in the box at all.
Halsey is the missing person and an ordinary audience member. Or did she have her own scheme all along? Could there have been a third person involved? Is that really a possibility?
I doubt it.
The deceased's
Honestly,
name is
realistically,
Cowell,
he's
Lenny's
about the
assistant.
only one who has
He
the
would have been
actual
able to tamper
ability.
with the equipment.
Yeah.
Huh? That can't be right. Are you serious? The killer was, in fact, Cowell, the deceased!
Oh, is that so? How interesting! Let's hear your reasoning then.
What I must do next is recreate the truth. What Cowell did, and how he went from would-be perpetrator to victim.
Alright, so, first things first.
No one entered or left the opera
Nope,
house
that's
through its
not it.
entrances. So, where would the criminal have wanted to take Halsey? The sound we heard may have come from a clash between the missing Halsey and the criminal. It would have been tough for both people to fit into that vent. They would likely have bumped into Lenny as well. The deceased's name is Cowell, Lenny's assistant. He would have been able to tamper with the equipment.
Okay. So how can we clear Lenny here?
No one entered or left the opera house through its... The deceased's name is Cowell, Lenny's assistant.
Okay, he definitely would have been able to
Halsey's
tamper.
clothing was in the tunnel. So there must have been some fear that she would attract attention.
Right, so someone would have needed to get rid of her. There's not really a way
No one
out,
entered
so
or
you'd have
left
to
the
hide
opera house
her.
through its entrances. So, where would the criminal have wanted to take...
And
The
then...
sound we heard may have come from a clash between the missing Halsey and the criminal. It would have been tough for both people to fit into that vent. They would likely have bumped into Lenny as well.
Right, so your best bet would be to hide her in the box until after, essentially. Could be how he was in there. No? Okay. Guess not.
Lenny was not in the tunnel at that moment. Halsey's clothing was in the tunnel. So, the sound we heard may have come from a cloud.
Okay.
Lenny was not in the tunnel at that. It would have been tough for both people to.
Okay, they couldn't both fit.
The deceased's name is Cowell.
So he's gonna have to.
The sound we heard may have come from a clash between the missing Halsey and the criminal.
That's not helpful. We already looked at that.
Lenny was not in the tunnel at that.
That's not really a helpful thing, other than the fact that it happened. We would need to remove the dress. And
no one entered or left the opera house through its entrances. So, where would the criminal have wanted to take Halsey?
presumably. No, still no. Alright. That's very unhelpful. Alright.
Lenny was not in the tunnel at that.
Okay, I see. There's little details up above there. Alright, so we can prove there's an altercation based on the sound.
May have come.
The current prime suspect? Well, it was Lenny, but...
The deceased's name is Cowell.
Okay, and where did she go?
Halsey's clothing was in the tunnel. The sound we heard may have come from... Lenny was not in the tunnel at...
That doesn't make any sense. Where did she go? None of these really answer that, realistically speaking. Let's go back here.
The deceased's name is Cowell, Lenny's assistant.
Prime suspect. I mean, it's him. That tracks.
It would have been tough for both people to fit.
So as far as where she... This is really our only option unless something else here's wrong.
Lenny was not in the tunnel at that moment, which gave our criminal ample time. The sound we heard may have come... No one entered or left the
Okay.
The deceased's name is Cowell. It would have been tough for both people to fit into that
That's not
vent.
very helpful either, so I guess...
Halsey's clothing was in the tunnel.
It's gotta be that, unless we... Yeah, see? That's not right, I know. Exactly. Like, there's no way for her to have gotten out, so she must not have.
What's wrong, Traveler? Are you still having trouble figuring things out?
I see how it is. So this was all just a bluff. And here I thought you had something to show for it. But it seems you're still far from the truth.
I mean, really, the only place she would go is if she's still there, somehow.
Look, since we're at a dead end, why not consider a different track? Just like the trick as it transpired, the end result must have been utterly different from the magician's initial design.
If only we knew how Halsey disappeared.
Well, that would be nice, but the tunnel only has 3 exits, and none of them seem very likely.
So maybe she's still there.
And it's not like this is a magic trick where you can just make a real live person disappear. You know, like you did from that water tank, Lynette.
Excuse my interruption, dear opponents, but do you not see that the crowd is growing impatient? There is no greater sin in this opera house than an awkward delay in the performance.
Oh, we're gonna cause a panic here. That'll be fun. Oh, that's not good.
If the defense is unable to make further effective arguments, we will move on to the next stage of the trial.
Oh, we have an argument. It's not a great one.
Lenny was not in the tunnel at that moment. The sound we heard may have come from a clash between the missing... The deceased's name is Cowell, Lenny's assistant.
Okay, we got all those, but the water
The vase
vase?
was not broken by chance. It was used to cover important evidence. The water...
Finally, been given all the options.
Paimon gets it! It all comes together if Halsey disappeared instead of being kidnapped. Lynette escaped from the water tank, vanishing gradually and leaving only clothes behind. If there's a similar method where a person could be transformed into water...
Oh, just a moment, please. I do hope you know how preposterous you sound at the moment.
Oh, is that so, Furina?
How could a person ever be transformed into water? This is reality we're talking about here, not some magic trick. Must we really? I should think that of anyone. Your friend Linny already knows this truth very well. Magic tricks are ultimately just illusions and misdirection. But Halsey's disappearance is very real. We're talking about two completely different things.
Maybe. Maybe not.
Even so, I trust the Traveler's judgment. The truth must be out there somewhere. Perhaps some new line of reasoning may open if we try to gather all the focal points that don't make sense. Since Cal was the deceased, we haven't placed much attention on him. But given that we aren't making much progress with the case, it wouldn't hurt to have a look at his belongings, would it?
People really do come up with all sorts of harebrained schemes when at the end of their rope. The way I see it, your suggestion that we broaden the scope of our investigation is nothing but a tactic for stalling the trial.
Oi! None of that, thank you.
Nevertheless, I believe that this is a reasonable request on the part of an attorney. Since the trial does indeed appear to be at an impasse, I believe that additional evidence may help us make more progress.
Thank you, Nuvalet. Much appreciated for reining her in a little bit.
Guards, please step into the lounge and examine the personal effects of the deceased Cowell.
We are still examining the items, but we have already made critical progress that we feel must be shared with everyone post-haste.
Oh? How curious.
We discovered several test tubes of fluid within Cowell's baggage, each labeled separately. The notebook in his backpack claims that these fluids are... water from the primordial sea.
Oh, well that would certainly do it, wouldn't it?
The primordial sea.
The note's contents also indicate that Cowell belonged to an organization that sells illegal drugs and that he had an accomplice. The notebook has many entries concerning safe usage of these fluids, in which the keyword dissolve appears many times.
Aha! Well, isn't that suspicious?
One of these tubes was labeled Opera Epiclese, along with yesterday's date. It is empty. The notes also state that these dissolution properties work exclusively on people from Fontaine. It's likely that Halsey was chosen as some sort of test subject. As such, we believe that the defense's hypothesis is, in fact, supported by sufficient evidence.
Well, thanks, Esmond. Much appreciated.
You've got to be kidding! People dissolving into water?
Could something so ridiculous actually be true?
Wait a moment. This reminds me of a certain prophecy, but it's just a coincidence, isn't it?
Yeah, this is gonna incite some panic.
Huh. If people can become water, does that mean that the water tank's real use was as a means to hide water stains? And if Cowell was targeting that girl... Just a minute. Could that mean... You two, with me, quick!
Demoiselle, wait! What about your partners?
Let's go. Just trust me.
Order! Order! It is undeniable that further examination of the deceased's personal effects has yielded some surprising results, but we cannot yet verify the veracity of these clues.
Oh yeah, and how are you gonna test that? Really? What are you gonna do?
Still, let us assume that these clues are indeed authentic, albeit with the understanding that Ms. Halsey has yet to be found. Guards, please continue examining the items along these lines. Mr. Linney, it appears your hypothesis is supported by the evidence, so please continue speaking.
Of course. Thank you, Your Honor. If we uphold this hypothesis, I believe that many of this case's seemingly unrelated clues can be connected together.
Right! Like the metal hook! That one didn't make sense at all.
No, it really didn't.
Let's think about this. Cowell's methods must have something to do with that water from the primordial sea.
Alright, so our current prime suspect is Cowell. What item did he use to control the timing of the dissolution? Presumably not. Could be the rope, I suppose. What are you?
That was in the magic box on stage. I remember there was something else within the.
Okay, so
The water from the primordial sea.
Let's assume we're okay. So this has got to be the water. Presumably then. Do that. You should be
The rope
potentially
that
the
strung
rope.
the water tank up was lit by the fireworks and cut. Now it seems like the hook rope was not meant for another magic.
Yeah, there we go. Okay. Used to hide the mechanism behind the crime would be
the rope that strung the water.
Hey, that was to a distraction. I guess
When
if
that
we're
was in the magic box. I remember there was something.
Very well then. That'll do, I suppose. Though this isn't what I would put in that fourth slot.
It's Ace Detective Paimon's time to shine again!
At least she's pleased and someone's having fun here.
In the original plan, Cowell would tamper with the water tank rope and the number selector securing his target. When the magic box containing Halsey was lowered, the metal hook would retract gradually and pierce the balloon at the top of the box. When the balloon attached to the box popped, the water from the primordial seed inside it would pour down and dissolve Halsey. Afterward, Cowell would enter the tunnel and break the flower vase to conceal the water inside the tunnel, with the remaining evidence being covered up by the water tank on stage. But he encountered something unexpected in the tunnel, and wound up being fatally hit by the same water tank he meant to use to cover his tracks.
Right. Alright. Fair enough.
Huh. That does make sense.
That actually links together a lot of the more confusing pieces of evidence.
Oh?
Oh dear, what do I do? Even I think they sound convincing now. Have I falsely accused an innocent person? What a humiliation.
Well, at least she can recognize logic, even though she's probably going to be problematic here.
Now, it seems like the only point of contention remaining is the exact circumstances that led to Cal's death. His notes mentioned he had an accomplice who could be related to the situation.
On that note, the guards have just contacted me indicating that they uncovered new evidence.
Oh?
I shall now invite him on stage to share it with us.
Thank you, Your Honor. We were just inspecting the luggage of the other people involved in this case. And we found an identical sample of the water from the primordial sea among Linny's personal effects.
No! Well, that's not helpful. Sir, I know you're messing around with this crisis. We've seen that. But that's like the least helpful thing you could possibly have on your person.
What? That can't be.
Oh, I see. Well, how wonderfully comedic to have your own counterattack only to come back and wound you. Does this not clear all doubt? My dear citizens, my loyal audience, allow me to present my reasoning and bring this performance to a swift close.
I really don't see how we can counter this one, honestly, other than plant potential, but like, I don't think there's any proper countering here. Truthfully.
Linny did not need to take part in the dissolution of the young woman at all. Indeed, he did leave the scene via the vent.
Okay.
Having made modifications to the props beforehand, his accomplice Cowl then caused Halsey to vanish using the water from the primordial sea. But upon his return, in cruel avarice, Linny desired sole credit and prepared to do away with his partner in crime.
See, now that doesn't make a lot of sense right there.
Ultimately, he knocked Cowl out, and the tool meant to cover the crime up also became a murder weapon.
Okay, sure.
Now, as much as I regret having come to such a viciously straightforward conclusion, it does seem that the famed Fatui is quite the cold-blooded and ruthless organization. Am I right, Mr. Linny?
We've used up all the evidence we collected. There's no way for us to make a rebuttal here.
Not specifically about this, unless we bring in outside action, certainly.
Is this the end of the road?
Oh no! Paimon can't think of anything either. It doesn't look like there's any way around this. Seems using the water as new evidence was too good a move. Why did this have to happen now?
I think we've all seen enough now, and we have ample witnesses to my flawless reasoning.
But then why on earth were he and his group actively investing in handing out for free magic pockets to help people escape the water, and also actively warning people about it? Now, I do think she could bring this back around on us, right? Which is as some sort of, I don't even know, money laundering scheme, essentially, where you manufacture a false crisis, and then after you've given away enough for free to assuage all doubts, you hike up the prices. But even still, I don't know that we've got a lot of a case here.
I believe this is indeed the finale.
Oh?
Now then, my good, noble Chief Justice, should we not, in your view, move...
Oh? What?
Excuse me, everyone, but I must interject.
Miss, I must ask you not to shout, and to respect the ongoing legal proceedings.
Oh, come on. Don't be hasty. I have a good reason for interrupting, you know. Now, would anyone here like to take a little break from all this debate and see a little magic? I'll show you an amazing trick. One that can bring a young woman who has disappeared back in the flesh, right before your very eyes. Please, do the honors, Mr. Linny, if you would be so kind.
What in the world is she saying?
No offense, miss, but miracles like that are beyond my scope as a magician.
Come on now, don't be silly. Magic is all about misdirection, isn't it? It often conceals the truth while presenting a fascinating illusion. But once everyone believes the illusion, Can't magic reveal the truth to them once again? And wouldn't such a trick be the most marvelous finale to today's performance? Come on, Lenny and Lynette. Give it another go. Don't worry. Spina di Rasula has made the necessary arrangements on your behalf. But, as the magic makers and stars of the show, I think I should leave the final performance to you.
I understand.
And voila!
Sorry for the interruption.
Wait, isn't that Halsey? So the whole thing about people dissolving wasn't true after all?
Well, now we've just gone in all kinds of circles, haven't we?
To be clear, I'm only here because this person told me that if I testified, the merit of doing so would lessen my sentence. I was hiding outside this room listening to the proceedings because I was afraid that I would be the one put on trial. I was just feeling happy that no one had noticed me, and then before I knew it, she caught me.
That'll teach you to underestimate us three.
Where should I begin? I'm sorry. I'm the one who killed Cowl. I admit it.
But, what? Why?
Firstly, my name isn't Halsey. It's Lillian, and I'm originally from Mondstadt.
Excuse me?
I heard that Linny's show was gonna be a real thriller, but I missed the chance to buy a ticket, so I stole one. That's how I make a living. I steal stuff here and there. And I'd never been caught before.
Right, she's the thief girl, isn't she?
But I was noticed at the harbor a few days ago, and I barely got away. Lenny was the one who caught me in the act.
Hey, no wonder you look familiar. So you were the thief! Liddy even mentioned that you were pretty skilled.
Well, and I thought that would have been the end of it, but then the number selector chose me. He even mentioned the Fortress of Meripede. That's a prison, isn't it? So you can imagine how shocked I was. I thought he was on to me for sure. So I played along with the show while looking for an opening to flee. But then I got water poured on me for no reason, and then someone jumped into the tunnel to nab me. I wasn't going to take that lying down, so I knocked him out and stuffed him into the box. There was nowhere to run from there, though, so I had to change my clothes and hide in a box containing performance costumes. I slipped out after the first guard arrived at the scene and continued hiding inside the opera house.
Can a person even hide in there?
Probably, yeah. Especially considering there are now a bunch of people here to view the trial.
But I swear, I didn't know that the water tank would fall down. Really, I swear it. Had I known that, I wouldn't have put him in the magic box. I may be a thief, but I'm no killer.
Well, that makes everything pretty clear now, doesn't it?
This time, we need to tell the entire story from Lillian's perspective.
Hello. Alright. Here we go. Okay, so, I mean, that's just an accurate statement. Okay, she didn't dissolve. But she had water dropped on her. Well, okay. We're gonna say random number. No? That's not where we're starting then, I suppose. Okay, sure. This isn't what happened, but she did get the hook rope. Or not. Aren't we trying to tell this? Okay. Rather than dissolving, she hit the guy on the head. Not here. Okay. What order do you want here? Okay.
The strange sound wasn't from a fight. It was Lillian's attempt to break out when she was frightened.
Okay, so she broke out. She hit the guy on the head. Which is probably still this one. There we go.
The flower vase was not...
That would be probably this. Yep, she let go of
Lillian
her
was afraid
clothes.
that she would be...
There we go.
And it's Ace Detective Paimon time! Having been selected out of the blue, Lillian panicked. Her panic only intensified after she entered the tunnel and had water poured on her head. So she kicked the door open, producing the thud we all heard.
Sounds about right.
Hearing the commotion, Cowl leapt into the tunnel, only to discover that Lillian had not dissolved. He did not know that Lillian was not from Fontaine, but was a thief who made her way in by stealing a ticket. Mistakenly believing that the water from the primordial sea needed time to take effect, he tried to force Lillian back into the box. The two broke the flower vase during the struggle, but Lillian came out on top, knocking Cowl out and putting him in the box. With no way of escaping, she changed her clothes and hid in the costume trunk until the performance ended.
Right, and there's certainly plenty of locations she could have hid for a while. Either through the vent while we were searching, or anywhere, honestly. Thank you, Navia.
She knew that she would have to go through guard inspection if she tried to leave afterward. So, she has been trapped in the Opera House these last 2 days.
She had already become desperately hungry by the time we were chatting over macarons. So, she swiped 2 of them right under our noses. Talk about a sneaky thief.
That would explain that. Although, how she approached us is a whole nother problem. It's been pretty good so far, that's for sure. I like the mystery aspect. It's a little bit different from our normal fetch quest style of thing.
At this point, all the events that happened in the tunnel have now come to light.
Ah, so that's the whole story.
Bravo! Bravo!
Now then, Lady Farina, do you wish to speak against the defense's statements?
Really don't know how she can go against them at this point in time. But I guess we'll see.
Please answer the question, Lady Farina. Also, if I may add, the trial has not yet ended. As such, I request that the prosecution not leave the room before the proceedings have concluded.
I mean, the power dynamic here is a little bit wild, but alright. Don't let her run away, that's right.
What? Are you reading my mind now?
You literally turned around to walk away.
No, I have no further arguments. I admit defeat. But really, could you at least have left me with some dignity?
Wow, look at that! She's like a deflated balloon now.
Yeah, I have my main team. I'm running with Navia and Furina, and it's great. I like them a lot, and this whole quest too, so far, has been quite fun. Navia is really fun. Furina's very dramatic, which I knew from her voice lines, but it's been kind of fun to actually get to know them now. So, I'm excited.
If there are no objections, then as the Chief Justice of Fontaine, I shall once again repeat the full sequence of events.
She really is, honestly. Like, the amount of drama just in her voice and in the laugh and just in everything is so good. Like, it really is the perfect voice for her, considering the lines. Like, it's just really impressive.
The actual perpetrator of the serial disappearances, Cowl, selected his next victim from the audience reservation list. With some modifications to the selector, he could ensure that the pre-selected young woman would be chosen. To cover up any evidence while committing the deed, Cowell thought of allowing the water tank to fall, which would conceal the water left behind after the young woman was dissolved. He also tampered with the rope suspending the water tank, using the fireworks at the end of the performance to cause the tank to drop and hide the watermarks. He poured the water from the primordial sea into a balloon during the preparation of the magic box and stuck it to the box's lid. Finally, he passed the prepared hook on a rope through the gap in the magic box's door when bringing the young woman to said box. When the magic trick officially began, the box containing the woman was lowered into the tunnel, tightening the hook rope and bursting the balloon containing the water. If all had gone to plan, the young woman would be dissolved at this time. However, Lillian was not from Fontaine, and thus fled the box with a loud noise. Realizing that there was trouble, Cowell entered the tunnel and met Lillian. Thinking that the waters had not yet taken effect, he decided to proceed. However, his opponent was more capable than he thought, and he was overcome, knocked unconscious, and placed into the magic box, and thus became his own final victim. Lillian, according to her own statements, then changed clothes and hid until the performance ended, before hiding in other parts of the opera house. As for Linny, he was in the underground structures within the opera house, and was thus ignorant of these happenings. From this reconstruction of events, we can conclude that Linny, the accused, is in fact innocent. While there is much in Linny and Lillian's conduct that should still be investigated separately,
I mean, fair. It was a little sketchy to go looking at inner mechanisms, and her whole deal is clearly problematic for many reasons.
this case at least can be handed over to the Oratrice to make the final decision.
Whoa.
As such, Linny and Lynette are officially declared not guilty.
Yay!
Great work, partners.
Thank you all. Thank you so much.
Next, I think we deserve an explanation, Guard Vaughn. How did you find the water from the primordial sea in Linny's baggage?
Right, because that's the one kind of weird thing that just doesn't make a lot of sense.
Right! Your discovery caused me to make a serious mistake, you know. Or was that not a discovery, but false evidence that you dare to bring before this court?
I mean, considering the amount of time he had, maybe not. Unless, of course, our thief here had something to do with it. If anyone could manage to get something into that evidence, it would be her.
I suspect that the accomplice mentioned in Cowell's notes was not Linny, but you, yes?
Or that. That would do it.
I'm sure you know what you must do to lessen your sentence.
Speak quickly! Unless you want to earn yourself a one-way ticket to Coupon Town.
What?
I was just following orders. We were supposed to place blame for the serial disappearances onto Linny, and thus cause suspicion to fall on the Fatui. The higher-ups said this was the best opportunity to do so.
What does that mean? Right? Like, what? What kind of threat is that? I have so many questions about just that statement on its own. Okay. That's good. I'm glad, because sometimes we just don't get answers about the unhinged things people say in this game. So.
And now that your plan has fallen through, and the secrets of the water have been revealed, you have become a liability to said higher-ups, yes? Therefore, you would be wise to tell everything you know, and seek the protection of the guards.
Yes, I'll tell you everything I know. Our boss discovered that the water can cause people to dissolve.
That is very problematic.
It can also be made into a potion, which when extremely diluted, can cause people to experience unforgettable exhilaration. We've been in this business for a while now, and have made decent more off it. the disappearances were also the boss's idea. I mean, this is the boss we're talking about. The...
Whoa. Oh!
And now he can no longer talk.
That's not good.
Such ruthlessness. I shouldn't have expected any less of them.
An outrageous act. All present, please submit to inspection immediately.
Yeah, who managed to make that happen? Unless something about him was already set up. Plots within plots happening here.
So, we're just going back now? That's true, but...
Yeah, there's some other problems for sure.
Traveler, Paimon, please wait.
Lenny...
What do you want?
I know you may not want to speak to me right now. Maybe you don't even want to look at me. But still, let me thank you again for defending me to the end, even after you learned that I'm a member of the Fatui. I guess. But regardless, I'd like the opportunity to set things straight. I didn't approach you with any ulterior motives or ill intent. I've spoken to you as myself, just plain Linny this entire time.
If you say so.
As for why I'm a Fatus, it's because the goals of the House of the Hearth align with those of an orphan like me. That's all.
What does that mean? Still very nebulous in terms of what the goals actually are. Because you've said completely different things from anything we've seen.
That was how Father, who you might know as the Knave, approached recruiting us back then too.
The knave? The one who controls the House of the Hearth? She's your father?
That's right. And since we're here, I was wondering, would you mind hearing a story? It's about my past.
Well, I suppose a story can't hurt much here, at this point.
Back when our parents first died, Lynette and I were left wandering the streets. To survive, I took to surreptitiously observing an older street performer who did magic. It took me several days to figure out how he pulled off his amazing tricks. I took my sister through several streets until we found a crowded corner, and we began to perform magic tricks there. To my surprise, we proved to be pretty popular, and we could at least stop worrying about where our next meal would come from for a time. But I didn't want my sister to remain a street rat together with me forever.
Understandable.
Before long, an aristocrat came to me and claimed that he wished to take us in after watching my performances.
So you went from orphans to nobility just like that?
That was how we felt at first too. As if fate was on our side and we could say goodbye to those painful days.
Maybe, but it does seem a little too good to be true, and considering who you ended up with, I'd say it probably was.
But I gradually discovered that while we were called foster children, he was really after my talent for magic tricks.
Hey, thanks for the follow.
He would constantly take me to all sorts of banquets to garner attention, which he would then use to expand his social circles.
Ah, okay. Sounds about right.
That doesn't seem too bad either. Better than roaming the streets at any rate.
Maybe. Maybe not.
It took a while for me to realize just how dark his heart really was. After one particular performance at a banquet, I discovered that Lynette was not on the same return vehicle as me. I waited a long time after we returned home, but she did not come back. I went to that noble's bedroom and asked him about her whereabouts.
Oh, that's not good.
The answer he gave me was, she caught the eye of the most eminent person at the banquet, so I sent her over as a gift. I mean, you'll be able to perform your magic regardless of who your assistant is, yes?
Excuse me? Damn.
So he was gonna... But wouldn't Fontaine's laws deal with such people?
I mean, considering. Yeah, like, that is not good.
As far as outsiders are concerned, this is a relationship akin to adoption or foster care, and they have their ways of escaping the eye of the law. I managed to ferret out the location of the mansion of that so-called eminent person, and hurried through the night. But by the time I leaped over the walls, avoided the guards, and made my way in, all I saw was the moonlit ground covered in blood, and the knave standing there in the darkness.
Oh?
So, she'd already taken care of that guy.
At least there's that.
That's right. She had rescued my sister before she could come to any harm, and had even discovered several girls hidden in a basement, all of them orphans.
Oh man, the implications of this. I hate that so much. I'm glad she's okay.
Father, I mean, the knave, might have seen something in me, and so she made me an offer.
And you weren't suspicious after the last time? Yeah, guess so.
The House of the Hearth welcomes you, for your interests align with ours. Here, none will ever betray you. Indeed, betrayal shall never be permitted here. I was hesitant to trust her. I mean, I had just been betrayed by nobles. But she was also quick to destroy the noble who had taken us in at first, giving us back our freedom.
Fair enough. I can understand why you went with her, certainly. But I suppose it doesn't explain how exactly you ended up here.
Oh, so that's how the two of you joined the House of the Hearth.
She has her own plans.
So that's a yes.
She has gained permission from the Tsaritsa to first use the Gnosis' power once she obtains it. She plans to use it to find a way to break the prophecy and save Fontaine.
Okay. Good motive, I guess, but still not a great action. Probably.
So, she believes in that prophecy too?
That's right. The whole House of the Hearth is currently working to combat that crisis.
Alright, fair enough. I mean, as far as causes go, I can certainly get behind that one, but considering how the last couple of times y'all tried to take a Gnosis went, I don't know if I can trust it.
Today's case has also proven that people from Fontaine can indeed dissolve into some sort of water, thus further supporting the prophecy.
I mean, you're not wrong.
Everyone at Hotel Bouffe d'été, including the knave, has their roots in Fontaine. And we will always defend our homeland.
Well, at least you've got that. There's certainly a lot of you running around here, though. Especially if she's around. That puts us at a total of 4, which is more than we've had during any other crisis.
To us orphans, the only connection we have left to this world, apart from our family, is our homeland.
So, from small deeds like distributing magic pockets to huge schemes like stealing a Gnosis, everything is aimed at dealing with that prophecy.
Right. Still doesn't mean that we can... Well, yeah, exactly.
It's all right. I understand.
Trust.
The only thing I can do is relate all this to you.
Fair enough. I mean, your actions are understandable, assuming you're telling the truth, and I certainly don't believe you'd lie about the first half of your story. It's the second half where you're losing me a little bit.
I just hope you can understand that even as a member of the House, I have never stopped making my own decisions, and that I believe what I'm doing is right. If you should need anything at all in the future, feel free to find me. I will do my best to help you, as plain Linny.
Understandable.
Bye, Linny!
I certainly hope he can be trusted. as a character. Honestly, I liked both of them. Of course, I like Child too, so. What's that about? Do you have a passive that I don't know about? That's a new one. Yeah. Yeah, I managed to nab both of them. Kniech took a long time to come home. Mulaney's so good. She's so good. I'm still working on building teams that they actually make sense in. That's kind of my biggest struggle right now with the two of them. I'm working on a virgin team for him, but it's slow going.
Hey there. What was with the disappearing act you pulled right as the trial ended?
Were you looking for us, Navia?
Well, this whole thing isn't exactly over, is it? I do feel that we're getting closer to solving the serial disappearances case, though. Don't you think so, too?
Hopefully.
Huh? What's wrong, my dear partner?
Well, we've kind of got other priorities.
Besides, are you sure we're the ones who can crack a case that's been cold for decades now? And given that there's new evidence from the trial, there should be a trail of breadcrumbs for the Hydro Archon's people to follow now, right?
I mean, yeah, but you're assuming they'll do it.
Ah.
Yeah. These three have certainly got style, too. Like, the coordination happening is pretty great.
I see. Well, I won't lie. I'm a little shocked to hear that from you. But I suppose you are just travelers who have only arrived in Fontaine after all. Sorry. I might have been too presumptuous.
Don't say that, Navia.
Ah, and we were having so much fun investigating with you, too.
Aw. Sorry to disappoint. Unfortunately, we have a different crisis to be dealing with.
It was like having new waters flowing into a stagnant mire, causing new hope to spring forth, and the reflection in the murk to become clearer.
Some random poetry. Alright.
Sorry about that. I'm a bit prone to nostalgia. Don't mind me. Wait, shall we have a farewell meal? You know, to commemorate our time as partners?
Huh? Do we really need to get that formal? Well, guess you really did treat us as partners, huh?
Well, I'd just like to have a proper ending to every important memory. That way there are no regrets later. Anyway, it would just be a meal, so it shouldn't take up too much of your time.
You don't have to twist Paimon's arm. If Boss Navia's treating, count Paimon in!
Oh, wonderful. In that case, why don't we return to the court of Fontaine and head to the Hotel de Boer? I believe we'll make it just in time for dinner.
Fair enough. I certainly doubt that we'll be in well enough in Furina's. I know, she really is obsessed.
Alright then, let's have our farewell meal!
And I doubt we're in Furina's good graces well enough to actually manage to talk with her here, considering. Let me out! Okay, so sort of this way. Not that way. Officially 2. Oh, that's all the way over there. Okay. That's not a nice quick travel location. So, still pretty early relative to everything. Certainly a lot more to happen here. So pretty. What big... That was a bush. Big fan of the architecture and design style here. Okay, that's good. I'm excited then.
I came here several times with my father when I was little, but stopped eating here as often after growing up. I hope the food here will be to your taste.
My favorite one so far, probably Inazuma. So we'll see if this one can top it. So far, it's definitely competing. Ah, okay. True. I mean, he had one heck of a villain speech, I've got to say. Definitely the best one we've gotten, I think, from anybody that I've seen so far, at least. Like, that was solid.
Oh, don't worry. We haven't eaten at a hotel like this in a while. Paimon's getting excited already.
In that case, I'll go order for us first. Please wait here a moment.
Ooh, everything looks so good. People in Fontaine sure know how to enjoy life.
Why, of course. Go ahead, try whatever you like. If the food's good, I'll make a group reservation for the rest of Spina di Rosula next time.
And if it's not?
Well, then I'll still bring everyone. Albeit with only one dish per table.
You, sure have your own way of doing things. Oh, we called this a farewell meal, but we could also treat it like a victory feast, right? We did just win that case after all.
Oh, true. Very true. In that case, boss, we'll have another 2 dishes.
There's not enough people to eat all this food, Navia. Like, I know Paimon eats a lot, but my goodness.
Huh? Paimon didn't mean that you had to order even more food. Speaking of cases, do you think that the mastermind behind the serial disappearances will get caught soon now that this has all happened?
Well, we've certainly taken a big step forward, but I feel that's about it. We know that there's an organization that means to dissolve these young women, but we still don't know what they are really after.
Right, and it's also, like, the targeting profile has become a bit odd, too. Because if they're not, you know, doing anything with them, they're just making them vanish. It's weird. Probably. Honestly, I'll buy that. Like, they take a while, so I'm not surprised. But yeah, that's kind of a weird one, other than the fact that they're easy victims, I guess. In the sense that they can't really fight back unless, you know, with the exception of our thief.
If it hadn't happened right in front of us, Paimon wouldn't have ever believed that a person could be dissolved like that.
Right? Yet it was because this was such a preposterous notion that the investigation could never really move forward before.
Ugh. If only that guy could have finished speaking! We were so close to hearing who was behind it.
In such investigations, even the smallest step can seem like a yawning chasm if the trail of clues is cut off. To be honest, I don't have high hopes for any follow-up that the authorities might conduct. It's not that I don't have faith in their ability, it's just that a different perspective is required in some matters.
I suppose. And we already know that at least one member is compromised, so who knows how many are.
It's easy to guard against and deceive a single narrow perspective. A shift in thinking is required at such times in order to produce a breakthrough. Which is exactly why the Spina di Rosula exist. Those highfalutin folk are not all-knowing. That's why we exist. To seep into the cracks where filth falls through, where their watch fails them. That's the kind of problems we solve.
I really don't think you have any room to talk about the highfalutin folk, Miss Navia. I really don't. Like, I'll let you get away with a lot, but that one I'm gonna call on, cause that doesn't track.
Seems Paimon thought things were simpler than they actually are.
Yeah.
It's all right. Well, this was supposed to be a farewell meal, So I doubt you have further interest in this business, right?
Well, about that.
Let's talk about something else. Like, what are your future plans?
That's true. We didn't have a chance to speak to her after the trial ended. It didn't really seem like the right time or place to do it anyway.
And I doubt she wants to talk to us at this point.
I see. So, your primary objective, which has been foiled so far, was to have a chat with the Hydro Archon. I've heard that there's a long line of people waiting to meet Lady Farina. I suspect you'll be waiting for quite a while, considering that you missed your chance today.
Yeah, we've heard that she's super popular here in Fontaine, and that it'll be tough getting any of her time.
Well, would you consider some more, unique ways? Perhaps even methods of, let's say, questionable legality?
That does not seem like a good idea. No. I mean, presumably we're gonna do it, but... oh boy.
Guess that's Spina di Rosula's boss for you. Chock full of sketchy ideas. Well, what did you have in mind?
Well, one way would be to infiltrate a performance troupe at the Opera House, only to abandon your act at the play's climax and ask to speak to her after the performance.
Okay.
I'm sure Lady Farina would be eager to see the ending, and would agree in order to finish watching the play, don't you think?
Maybe, but... still, also doesn't seem like a great plan.
Could you suggest something a little more practical? This plan seems pretty hard to pull off. We'd have to go learn how to act, and acting's really hard.
Alright, here's another. Find a way to conceal yourselves under her bed. Then, wake her up in the dead of night and demand answers. Don't let her go back to sleep until she answers all your questions.
She really is full of unhinged ideas. No thank you. How would we even get there? Really?
I can personally testify that this one works.
What?
When I'm sleepy, I'll do anything as long as I can finally get some sleep.
Okay, alright, that's where that's coming from. I'm like, how? Okay, alright then. I was getting a little worried about her for a minute there. I mean, it's unhinged enough that she suggested it, but if she'd actually done it, I'd be even more concerned.
That might work, but that's not really the problem. The problem is we don't want to get ourselves arrested.
Valid point. I overlooked that part. I was just thinking about leveraging a person's desire for sleep. Alright, no more joking around. Perhaps you could... oh, I don't know. Cut the line when she's on a break. You did defeat her in court, clearing citizens of hers from false accusations. False accusations she had nearly upheld personally. I imagine that she feels quite ashamed about the whole thing.
You mean that if we catch her while she's on a break, she might be too embarrassed to refuse? Oh, that does make some sense.
Perhaps, but again, we don't really want to offend her either. She's not likely to help us.
Why don't we give it a try after this meal? You know, strike while the iron is hot and all.
Huh? Paimon, did you drink my Fanta?
Was this your drink? Sorry about that. Paimon wasn't really paying attention and the cup was right next to Paimon. Would you like to order another?
No, it's fine. We're just about done here.
Alright. Honestly, Paimon wouldn't recommend Fanta anyway. It tastes kind of salty and icky.
Is that so? Huh. Well, in that case, we'll have to blacklist the Fanta here then. If we're all finished eating, then I'll go pay.
Yeah, we're stuffed. Thanks for the treat, Navia.
That's weirdly specific.
Oh, so full. Paimon can barely float anymore. That would be so normal. You know, like you.
Somehow I feel a little offended by that.
Okay. As for expenses this month, we're left with...
Hey, Navia! What are you doing over there?
Oh, nothing. It was just a meal, you know? Nothing the Spina di Rosula can't cover.
Let's get ready to try to meet the Hydro Archon again. Bye, Navia!
So this is goodbye, huh? Well, if you do encounter any other trouble in Fontaine, you're always welcome to contact the Spina di Rosula. I'll give your request the highest priority.
Thanks, I'm sure we'll end up needing that.
In any case, I wish you smooth sailing. I'll see you again, partner.
See ya!
Back to the Opera House. I'll have to see how this one goes. I don't have a lot of faith in it going well.
Ten points for agility. Carving waves! There aren't many people around anymore. Looks like that boat we took to Araneas might have been the last one.
Vache.
Thing again. That is so weird.
Looks like we're back here again. Huh? Traveler? Are you hearing voices again? Ugh. That's kinda spooky. Are you sure we don't want to come back in the morning?
Vache? Vache.
Hey, why are you still walking towards it? There might be something nasty in the water. Huh? Hang on. Paimon can kinda hear a voice. It's calling for Vache, right?
Well, good to know we're not crazy.
Hey, Traveler? Stop walking! Come on, wake up!
Oh.
Vache, are you my dear Vache?
No. Don't think so.
No, wait. You seem to be someone else. Do you know Vache? Do you know where my love is? Wait. Who am I? I'm very sorry. I fear I do not know. My memories feel like they have been washed away like a flood. So many fragments dissolved amidst the tide, never to be recovered.
Huh. She must be one of the people who disappeared then.
How much have I lost? How many things that I once held dear while on land have I since forgotten? Yes, that is what I was once. But now, I am but the consciousness of one who is lost, therefore. I do not know how I came to be like this either. I only vaguely remember being covered in light blue water, and then all grew dim.
Must have been one of the earlier ones.
I also remember going to many places. I loved adventure, loved exploring places of peril. No matter where I went, Vache would go with me. I knew how dearly he loved me, and I also loved him equally as much. But now, we can no longer go back. The pain of such parting. I never knew how heavy it could be.
Wow, that could get tricky, depending on the timing. And of course, if I do find him, I don't think there's happy endings available here.
No! Our reunion no longer has any meaning. There is no way for us to create any new memories.
The thought of me gives him no succor. So let it lie forgotten beneath the waters. If you meet Vache, tell him not to look for me. Tell him to move on. That is the only thing I still remember. Perhaps that is so. As I was submerged in the waters, losing consciousness, I saw Vache above the surface. His eyes were filled with such sorrow, such longing.
Uh-huh.
If only I could have comforted him, told him that I did not suffer. Indeed, I had felt a great warmth.
That's very interesting because then it means either you weren't reported as missing, or you were but falsely so. And potentially he might be involved if he was there and didn't report that. Or he was worried about people thinking he was crazy, I suppose.
Is that what you call it? Dissolving? If anything, I consider it a form of release. It was a state of neither fear nor frenzy, with only an endless peace, like the water's still surface.
Well, I suppose at least there's that.
I could also liken it to being a thirsty person who drinks water for the first time, and only then sees how they have lived for so long in a world of endless want and anxiety. I think I hear your companion. It's time for you to go, I think. Farewell, then. I am glad that you were able to sense my presence. Remember, if you see Vache, tell him not to seek me out any longer.
Okay. Whoa, 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 whoa. What the heck? Well, that isn't ideal.
Demoiselle, look out!
Dear God, it's a whole army of Gardamex.
Uh-huh. Oh.
Clorand?
What's she doing here? Oh. Okay then, that's good.
Quick, now's our chance!
Whoa. Oh, she's cool. Oh, she has a gun too. Whoa. That was a pretty impressive cutscene.
I should thank you for lending us your sword there, Clorand. But before I do so, could you explain how you managed to show up here?
I mean, I guess it's a fair question, but like, y'all were making an awful lot of noise.
I followed you. It seemed to me that danger has followed you more closely as of late.
Okay, there's definitely a history there that I don't know about.
I believe that following someone without their knowledge is actually called stalking, is it not?
Mr. Callus's last wish was for me to ensure your safety, and I will not betray his trust. He would do the same, were he alive today.
Ah, okay. Interesting.
Do not speak of my father!
So, she must have been involved with her dad in some way, either working for him or something like that, presumably?
Sorry, demoiselle. I was not strong enough.
Thank you for your aid, Miss Clorand, but do keep an eye out for your manner of speech. I believe we all wish to avoid unnecessary emotional harm.
Sorry, I did not consider your feelings.
Whatever. What else do you know? How did you come to the conclusion that I'd be in grave danger?
I mean, it's a fair assessment. You're probably the one who singular-handedly made the most impact on this case out of anyone. So whoever's behind it, and it is actively an organization as we've confirmed, probably wants you taken out.
I doubt I know much more than you, but I believe that the mastermind behind the serial disappearances is very powerful. Your performance tonight will almost certainly attract their attention.
I'm sure they've known about me. To be honest, I'm shocked it's taken them this long to act against me. And what about these Gardamex? I thought only those associated with the Maison Gardiennage could control them.
Well, seems like that's not really true, doesn't it?
None of these mecha have serial numbers. I was sure to check a moment ago. They are not the ones used by the authorities to enforce the law.
Oh, so you've got a rogue producer out there then.
I can only conclude that some powerful or wealthy party must have obtained them via illegal means, deploying them as a private force of sorts.
What? Your point being that they're out of Spina di Rosula's league, then?
Yes. Be careful, and do not act rashly.
I will continue investigating no matter what. We will bring the truth to light. That's my father's true last wish. Regardless, thank you for your help today, Clorand. But if you get any ideas, tell me first. I don't much appreciate being followed.
Fair enough.
I do not think that they'll strike again anytime soon. So I shall stop following you. Good day, all.
Right. I suppose that's the best news we've gotten today.
Demoiselle, I believe that Miss Clorand was being sincere with you. If we tried, we could attempt to thaw relations a little.
Certainly wouldn't hurt for you to have more allies, though I can understand your reluctance.
I know, she's...
Oh, thank goodness! Paimon thought we were done for! Those Gardamex came out of nowhere while you were unconscious, and Navia and her gang saved us! Oh, and there was that champion duelist named Clorand who came out to save us too! We got lucky there. Paimon probably couldn't have fought them off otherwise.
Oh, come now. Forget all that polite talk. That wasn't really a farewell meal we had back there. Not for me, anyway. In truth, I hope that every meal we have together shall be a victory feast.
Would certainly be nice. We'll have to see about that one, though.
As such, we're still partners. There's no need to thank me.
It will take 50 years for me to match Demoiselle's magnanimity.
If it were me, I would have joined the Spina di Rosula on account of her goodwill long ago.
All right, you two. That's enough.
Actually, Navia, how did you know that we were in danger? You sure did show up in the nick of time.
Well, to be honest, you're the one who tipped us off, Paimon.
Oh? Is this about the water stuff? Probably is, isn't it? I mean, that did feel dangerous, certainly. And very odd.
Huh? Really? Paimon contributed somehow? Ooh, Paimon's even more amazing than she thought!
Yes, all thanks to you grabbing my drink by mistake.
Mm-hmm. That was not normal water.
How did that help?
After we parted ways, I was on the way back to one of our bases when I suddenly thought of what you said. That the Fanta tasted kind of salty and icky. Fanta only comes in sweet flavors, so how could it have tasted salty? The color of the drink, if I recall, had also been a bit off.
Mm-hmm. Someone's definitely trying to take you out, Miss Navia.
So the Fonta had been spiked with water from the primordial sea?
Yes. So, if you hadn't drunk that cup for me...
Spina di Rosula is preparing the grandest of awards for you as we speak for saving the boss.
Huh. Really?
I sent people to Hotel de Boer to investigate, but whoever did this left no trace at all. That's when I figured out that you might be in danger, and hurried here as quickly as I could.
But why would they go after us too? All we did was defend Linny in court and help clear his name. Ugh, now we're caught up in this mess too, aren't we?
Well, you did foil a plan that they were probably pretty proud of, and almost got their name in the process.
True.
Speaking of which, did anything strange happen when you drank the primordial seawater?
Other than the fact that it seemed to increase our connection with the nice water lady in the statue? Not really.
Well, it can't be coincidence that the traveler fainted just now. She said that she heard that voice calling for Vache again. Oh, and this time Paimon heard it too, but it was real faint. Does this situation have to do with the primordial seawater then? Does that mean the primordial seawater raises someone's sensitivity to hydro when it's used on people who are not from Fontaine?
Suppose that makes sense.
That doesn't sound like too much of a bad thing, to be honest.
New intel? While you were out cold?
Yeah. I met a nice lady and we had a lovely chat.
Well, let's hear it, shall we? Oh, that is important. Vache. That name doesn't ring a bell. I suppose he hasn't stepped forward as a witness in court lately. Since he saw that young woman dissolve, he was at least at the crime scene.
Right, if not directly involved.
But he never gave testimony or any information regarding people dissolving in the primordial seawater. Could he have been threatened? Yes, thank you. This is very important information indeed. We will continue to investigate. Oh, you mean you'll help us investigate?
Yeah, why not?
Well, you did say that our farewell meal didn't really count. That means we're still partners, right? And besides, we're in this now whether we like it or not. You're not gonna let those people who targeted us get off the hook so easily, are you, Traveler?
Demoiselle, do try not to look quite so pleased. You are the face of Spina di Rosula, after all.
She does look quite smug, doesn't she?
You talk too much. Well, in that case, let's head back to one of our bases, shall we? I'll arrange accommodations for you. We also have some plans to go over, and hopefully we can deepen our bonds as partners. But we'll take that one step at a time, I guess.
Don't worry, you two. With us around, our base is definitely secure.
Alrighty. Where are you guys hiding then? Back over on the other side, it seems. Kind of city central. Interesting. Alright, thanks. Hope you have a great day too. I'm thinking probably I will do this next little bit, and then it'll be about time for me to get going as well.
It's right up ahead, but let's make sure we weren't followed first.
I've been keeping watch, Demoiselle. I haven't spotted anyone suspicious thus far.
Huh, very good. But let's not let our guard down for now.
I shall find rooms for our respected guests.
Thank you, Malus. Now, let's continue, Traveler.
Is it down here? Yes.
Need a sip? Let's ride!
Don't think any just like, oh, we're down a hole. That does not seem good. Okay, what is this passive? This has got to be new. See, I know about all of this. Here? No, Night Soul's Blessing. Again. Huh. Oh no, I bet it's Furina's passive. Maybe. No. Can't be. Alright, I'll have to read more clearly. Let's figure that one out. Goodness. There's all kinds of randomness happening. Navia, you do not seem like the type of person to have your base
really
be in
necessary?
an area. Yes, it really is. We're investigating. Kneech. Oh, hello. There's all kinds of people down here in the middle of the sewers. How interesting. Okay, she definitely gives off mob boss energy. Like 100% here. There's like a whole little undercity. What's over here? Anything of importance? No. How curious. I mean, that's a pretty cool location. It's very different from up above. This is by far the most, like, run down, kind of almost steampunk-esque location we've seen, which fits Navia and her whole vibe. Like, her visual does kind of scream that, so it makes sense. But in particular, it's probably one of the more kind of run-down areas I think we can say, officially speaking, that I've seen.
I'll take the lead today.
Considering how everything was in Inazuma, that's almost a little bit surprising.
It's as good as done.
Not that I expect to run into anything that will need combat here, necessarily. Oh, they've got their own legal advisor. That could come in handy.
So, this is your base? It's not quite what Paimon imagined.
Your accommodations have been arranged. Under the present circumstances, I can confidently say it's the best we have.
Well, our funds have been a little tight lately.
Understandable.
After all, we don't allow illegal or unethical profiteering. In fact, our funds often come from citizenry who support us.
Huh. Okay, sure. She's out here running essentially a vigilante crew almost. Explains why I didn't quite get the vibe of sanctioned or completely illegal either. Somewhere in the middle. She's in a gray area, which is very interesting in a place all built around laws.
Seems like it's tough times for everyone. But if you have the support of the people, that does sound like it's worth it.
To be honest, our financial situation was a lot better back when my father was in charge a few years ago. I'm afraid I'm not quite his equal.
Your father... He was the previous boss of Spina di Rosula, right? How did he...
Demoiselle, if you'll allow me to explain.
Yeah, that's probably for the best. It clearly seems like a touchy subject. To be honest, I wouldn't have asked her outright.
No. I'll explain it myself. I suppose I couldn't run from this topic forever. And as partners, this is something I hope they can understand. My father's name is Callus. Yes, the same one they call Callus the Unfaithful in the streets. 3 years ago, he was accused of murdering his own friend, but he chose a duel to defend his honor instead of standing trial. He died in the duelist's ring.
Oh man. From what we've heard, that's a proper last resort. So it must mean, essentially, that he didn't really think he had a lot of hope of being given the out. Or, I suppose, he truly was guilty. Either way, certainly a choice of desperation.
Oh no.
But I do not believe my father was a murderer. I'm sure he was set up. At the time, I believed that if he only stood trial and was duly investigated, something amiss would crop up and prove his innocence. But strangely, he not only requested the duel himself, but rumor has it that even after being seriously injured, to the point where he could be deemed as having lost the duel, he refused to surrender, determined to die in the arena.
Okay. That's an odd one, because I know we've said that technically Fontaine has a death penalty and all, but ostensibly there's not much difference between that, which means something had to have been going on behind the scenes.
3 years later, I still don't understand why he did that. How could he protect his honor if he's dead? If anything, he gave up his chance to defend himself. The closest piece of info I have is that my father had been investigating the serial disappearances case at the time of his death.
Okay, so maybe he found something out. Or maybe he didn't.
Ah, so that's why you're so determined to get to the bottom of that case.
That's right. I've also tried to investigate the murder my father was implicated in, but I haven't found a single new clue in my countless reviews of the investigation records.
Well, that just tells me that you'd best be careful, beyond the already attempted assassination you've faced. If that fails for too long, someone might try some other methods.
However, I believe that if the murder case is related to those behind the disappearances, they must know something. I must know what really happened. Was my father coerced? Framed? Even if he really did kill his friend, I must get to the truth.
Right, there has to be some kind of an explanation, somehow. At the very least, there's enough weird coincidences that it feels like something isn't right.
If only he'd been more open with me when he was still alive. He even hid the fact that my mother died due to complications when giving birth to me.
Oh. Goodness, okay.
And now, here I am investigating his death. You really are a handful, aren't you, Papa?
Demoiselle, please, if there is anything I can do, anything at all.
I also will never believe that Master Callus murdered anyone. There are none whom I respect more than the two of you, Demoiselle. Master Callus did so much good in life, yet all it took was one murder case for him to be dubbed Callus the Unfaithful.
Right. Which, I mean, that is how it goes, but I think it's also an unfortunate consequence of the dramatization that's happening here in this area.
Even our supporters decreased greatly due to that incident, hence our strained finances at present.
Wait, if Callus was such a good man, wouldn't people at least be a little suspicious when he was accused?
No. Perhaps people just revel in that kind of drama. It's not something exclusive to people from Fontaine, really. Everyone's like that.
Perhaps, but it's certainly more blatant here.
People love watching the evil turn over a new leaf, but they also enjoy watching good people fall into an abyss from one slip-up just as much.
But how could... Never mind. If Callus was really falsely accused, We have to find the truth. He didn't deserve to have that happen to him.
There is one other thing. Master Callus's opponent in the duel was Ms. Clorand.
Oh. Ooh. Yeah, okay. I see how that complicates matters.
Oh, her? Well, then, isn't that as good as saying that she was the one who killed him? Yeah, that's not the sort of thing that you can just let go and move on from.
No, honestly, I'm surprised they're as civil as they were.
Ms. Clorand has always placed great emphasis on the honorable nature of the duel. If her opponent doesn't yield, she will not stop either.
Right. She would certainly be a good one to choose if you were expecting to lose then and didn't want to face trial for whatever reason. It's an odd one, certainly.
She knew Master Callus beforehand and greatly respected him, but seeing how he was resolute in the arena, there was only ever one choice she could have made.
It's not that I don't understand her at all, but I just can't deal with this yet.
More than fair, that one. That's certainly not something you should have to deal with.
Don't worry, Navia. Paimon knows how you feel. You don't have to force yourself to do that.
Afterward, Ms. Clorand told us that at the start of the duel, Master Callus requested that she ensure Demoiselle Navia's safety.
Yeah, okay, so there's something going on in the background here.
Yes, that is our understanding as well.
That's a lot of questions, not so many answers yet. Hopefully we'll find some as we continue along.
Oh, Papa. What madness drove you to ask the person who killed you to take care of me? All right, anyway, that's the information I wanted to share with you. Even if it did sound like I was just complaining towards the end.
You have every right, I think, to be honest.
Thanks. You two should go and rest. This was quite a day after all.
Yeah, Paimon's beat.
Please, relax and get some sleep. We will ensure you rest soundly.
Alright, well, that feels like a decent enough spot to pause. Let's see. We got anything? Got a couple wishes. Alright, that's something. I need to start getting them back. I'd like, preferably, to do some more attempts for actually getting Raiden as well. Clearly, my odds aren't good. Kenichi really wiped me out. I did about 4 yesterday, the remainder from my lost 50-50 followed by essentially a full pity run. It was very unfortunate. So, odds are not good. Hopefully we'll accumulate some more here. Maybe I can put together a team for her. But, slow going. Anyway, I think that'll be about all for today. I will be back streaming some Honkai Star Rail on Monday at around 6 p.m. EDT, which if you're interested, you can check out my Discord. It's linked in my bio for details and announcements.
I do love Spina di Rosula's logo.
On the stream. So that should be coming up here. And then on Wednesday evening, I will be back to play some Genshin. So you can catch me there, once again, also at 6 p.m. EDT. So if you're interested in catching the continued storyline, you can follow up with me there. Anyway, thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate it. I hope you have an awesome evening, morning, or whatever time it is for you. Have a good one.